y'all. Welcome to the Honest to Goodness podcast,
where we give you our honest opinions
on good entertainment. I'm Morgan.
I'm Kerri.
I'm Nicole.
And without further ado,
here's today's episode.
We hope you enjoy.
Hey all, welcome back to the Honest to Goodness podcast. I'm Morgan. This is my co-host Kerri and Nicole. And you guys obviously see there's a fourth person here. Hello to the Heartie Observer, Miss Theresa.
Hi, everybody. Theresa. Hi. Thank you for having me.
Yay!
So excited.
Yeah. I'm so excited. I've been excited all week, so.
Aww. If you need somebody to make you feel good about yourself, call this girl. I'm just saying.
100%.
Yeah.
So this isn't going to be a normal podcast episode. We're not going to be talking about a specific movie. We're not going to be doing any kind of review or anything like that necessarily. I mean, we're going to give our honest to goodness opinion, but it's not going to be on anything specific. We just kind of want to do girl talk.
Yep.
You know, good old fashioned girl talk. So
absolutely. Yep. I'm here for
Theresa,
it.
Yeah. Do you want to kind of tell people kind of like who you are and like how you did the Heartie Observer, just for those that maybe don't know?
Sure. Yeah. So actually, my Heartie Observer account and my blog is kind of a labor of love that, took birth during quarantine and like lockdown, which I'm sure is true of a lot of people. Like that was kind of my comfort show that kind of got me through it. And by the end of season 7, I just had so many thoughts that I couldn't share with my family because they were tired of hearing about it.
Right.
So I was like, you know what? Let me start a blog. And, I started writing it, and then Instagram, my Instagram account was kind of a way to put it out there for people, and it just kind of grew from there. I mean, I love the show, and I went back after season 7 and watched all of the other seasons, because season 7 was really my first watching it live, following along with the story. Yeah. I initially started in season 6, but I wasn't really into it, but season 7 was when I faithfully started watching it together, and then went back, rewatched everything. I already knew Jack died, so it didn't hurt as much for me because I already knew it was happening. But I kind of went into season 8, and it really took off from there, which is, I'm sure, true of a lot of other accounts, because season 8 was so big. And yeah, I'm just kind of here today, doing my thing, keeping up with the blog and the Instagram, and just waiting for season 10 right now.
Yeah. Well, we always love seeing your posts.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely. I mean, your story kind of similar to mine. Like, I never really watched the show live, or at least not in the context of social media.
Right.
I really wasn't. I still wasn't really that faithful to watching it live even then. So my mom actually started out watching the show, but for some reason I just never could really get behind that many period drama shows.
Right.
It just wasn't my thing.
That's fair.
How are we friends again? Like, remind me.
I don't know.
Love you.
Love you. But she kept kind of talking to me about it. I would see her obviously have it on TV and stuff like that, and I would kind of catch into some of it. Obviously thought Jack was cute, so that was like a plus to kind of like pay attention.
I mean, that's a good incentive to watch.
Exactly. Hello, Daniel Lissing.
Yeah.
Right.
But and of course, I've always loved Lori Loughlin. So when I saw her on the screen, I was like, okay, if she's involved, this has got to be good.
Right.
I mean, I've loved her since Aunt Becky. Come on.
That
was she was like as if she was like my childhood aunt. Like,
see, I feel horrible because I never watched Full House, but now I want to.
Wow.
You've got to watch it.
I know.
It's
I'm very
so
behind on it.
I definitely suggest Full House more than Fuller House. Like, don't get me wrong, it was a great like reboot, but it just felt like they broke the fourth wall too much for me.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like how they're doing the reboots now where they're like breaking the fourth wall and stuff.
Right,
to me, it just didn't have the same feel. I loved it still. So still check it out. But
Yeah.
like Full House, yeah, I loved
Okay.
it.
I will
But-
say I have never seen all of Full House because my mom forbade me from ever bringing it in the house again. So yeah,
Oh, wow.
Why?
she
What?
felt like it was way too modern minded. She couldn't stand the OMG all the time. And like, you know, she was super strict. Oh, she flipped out when I brought I Dream of Jeannie in the house. So I mean, my mom was like uber strict. Listen, I never even saw Cinderella until I was 18. Okay.
That's
Like,
fair.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
I wasn't allowed to watch Jasmine or Ariel because of
Mhm.
various
Yeah.
reasons. So
Yeah, but
Yeah,
I
Kerri,
understand.
yeah. I mean, back in those days, a lot of people tended to like look at that stuff. Like back in those days, especially probably whenever our parents were young, you know,
Mm.
TV was almost like of the devil. So I
Right,
mean,
right.
You kind of, and you can,
Yes.
and I mean, look at the world we're living in now. They're not exactly wrong.
Yeah,
But-
yeah. I mean, I guess
Truly.
our parents had a point.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
always
shocker.
ended
They
being
knew
right.
what they were talking about.
Right,
They're always
exactly.
right. But yeah, I didn't start really getting into the show until season 2, which is odd because I know everyone says that season 2 was one of the worst.
Yeah, when you
Even
said
though
that, I was like, that's
Yeah.
a doozy of a season to start
Right?
on. Yeah.
Right?
Season 2.
I very quickly started second guessing my choices.
Yeah, I
But,
imagine.
I have a feeling
But-
season 8 definitely knocked season 2 out of its worst place.
Yeah.
But we'll get more into that
yeah.
later.
Watch out for those Charles characters.
I
Yeah.
know, right? What
Right?
was it we were talking about with that? What was the other
No.
child?
A Merry Christmas wish.
Yes, it was a Merry Christmas wish. And I was like, you have to watch out for those Charles characters because
Yeah.
they're not
It's
Like, there
always
are so many
Charles. It's always
characters that are
Charles.
like-
Yeah.
right. Tip never dated a guy named Charles, apparently. I
Never,
don't know.
yeah.
but-
I mean, I think Diana
sorry to
will
anybody
definitely
named
agree with
Charles.
us because Prince Charles was a doozy. Is a doozy. So I mean, but
Yeah.
anyways, so but it wasn't until around season 8 actually. So you're like a season ahead of me where you started doing like everything.
Mhm.
That's when I kind of was like, I really love Nathan, and at the time I was kind of scouring through Instagram before ever making my Team Nathan Grant.
Mhm.
I do this thing where if I think of a username or I think about like a situation of how I want my account to look like, I kind of do a back check, make sure no one has that username,
Right.
make sure their account isn't going to look exactly like mine, even though I literally only have like 2 posts on my Instagram and I mainly use it for live.
Yeah.
I did my Team Nathan Grant and I started seeing people obviously putting their opinions out there. I saw that there was actually a lot more Team Nathan than when I was doing my initial search. So I was like, okay,
Right.
well that's good because I was kind of like,
Mhm.
you know, I feel like Nathan doesn't have that big of a following, so I'm going to be added to the following so that way he knows that, you know, he's got the support.
Right.
And I saw Kerri's account, Heartie's Forever and Always. And I don't know what made me swipe up into her Instagram because like she wasn't really doing, you weren't really posting a whole lot, but I did like the things that you did post. And so like, I'm just gonna, you know, see how she is. She
Just
seems
slid
nice
into
and
my DMs.
I slid
Aw.
into her DMs.
As one does. Yeah.
And I literally just like, we started a conversation and I'm like, you know what? I want to go live and I want to share my opinions because I had so many opinions built up. But like you said, like I could talk
Right.
to my mom about them, but like, it was like, I have so many opinions. I want to tell more than just my mom
Mhm.
and
Right.
like talk to someone maybe more my age even.
Mhm.
And so we started like hitting it off and we ended up having like literally the same thoughts as everything, like how we felt about Lucas, how we felt about
Yeah.
Nathan, how we felt about how Elizabeth was during the whole situation.
Wasn't
And I was
our
like, you know
first
what?
live like literally 2 days into us talking?
Yes, it was literally like the second day we talked. I was like, "Hey, you want to go live with me?" And she's like, "Sure." And so we literally met face to face for the first time. I was literally thinking
Aw.
before you got on, I was like, I really hope she's not like an 80-year-old woman who can like barely look at the screen.
Oh gosh.
Well,
But then again, when you get to know her, it's kind of accurate to think that she's an 80-year-old woman.
That's fair. You're an old soul, Carrie.
I am. I
Old
really
soul,
am.
which is beautiful. But
I
yeah,
kinda
and then
am
when she
too.
came on the
Yeah.
screen, I'm like, oh, thank God.
Yeah. I think it was that first live, literally, that people told us we should do a podcast, wasn't
A
it?
podcast, yeah.
What did you
They were
guys
like-
do a live on like the day after the season 8 finale or
Yeah.
We did
before
one
that?
Honey. Honey,
We did
did it
one-
that night.
As-
We were
Okay,
literally
okay,
simulta-
yes.
I was in Indiana.
Yeah,
In a
in a
hotel
hotel
room.
room.
And as soon as that episode ended, I went live. We were on that live till 3 o'clock
In the
Oh my
morning.
gosh.
But here's the
Okay.
thing.
No.
Yeah.
We
No.
were also recording us for the podcast at the same time.
Oh
Time.
my gosh.
I was
So
on
that
the
way we could have like
episode.
a live, for those that couldn't be on the live, they could see our actual authentic reaction from the very second it hit record and it
Oh my
started
gosh.
to the end.
And then-
Wow.
So it was like almost a 4-hour
Wow.
video.
No,
Okay, I
yeah.
will say, you know what? I think I was tuned into that live
I think
because
you
I
were.
went straight from watching the finale. I had to go straight from there to work. So literally I left my dorm room and was like ran to work. I'm sitting at the front desk of the library that I work at, just like watching the live while I'm working.
and
The
Because I
dedication.
couldn't do
Oh my
anything at that
gosh.
point. I'm like, I can't talk to anybody. I can't, vent to anybody about this. So I'm just gonna sit here and watch the live
oh my
because I
goodness.
was going crazy. Yeah.
and then after we got off the podcast episode and the live, we proceeded to get on an Instagram direct message chat for 2 more hours until about
Yeah.
5 in the morning.
Oh
Not
my
even lying,
gosh.
my mom came in and she's like, like, so how'd it go? And I'm like, literally, like, my face is red. My eyes are like swollen. And I'm
Oh
like, how
my
do you
gosh.
think it went?
Like, look at my face. How do you think it
Like,
went? Yeah.
I literally have not slept because she was coming in from work by the time that we
Oh my
got done.
gosh.
Like,
Yeah.
'cause she was working
I don't think
nights at the time.
anybody slept that night. Yeah.
No, I definitely do not.
Yeah.
And like, we even called it on the live. We were like, that was a full-on flip script. Full-on flip script. You cannot, me and her both were like, because we're such behind the scenes nerds.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
And
you
so
guys
we
would
we
know.
locked on.
'Cause-
We
yeah.
were like, we were locked on. I'm like, no. Because like the
Yeah.
whole episode was just so off
It
from the rest
really
of the episode.
was. Yeah.
There was
it
just
really
some kind of
was.
difference in the energy and the
Mhm.
emotions that were going on and how they were
Mhm.
reacting to like
Right.
Kevin was so different
Oh
in
yeah.
that episode from
That
start
was
to
what
finish.
I
His
noticed
entire-
most is he was just
Yes.
so like subdued and like
It's fine.
he just
Emotionalist,
physically like visibly, sorry, not physically, visibly like just defeated. And I was like,
Yeah.
is this even acting at this point?
Right?
I was like,
Yeah.
oh
Right?
yeah, something happened there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I am still
another-
waiting for someone to tell the full story of what actually
Right.
happened.
Like I have a feeling that one
I'm
of these
kinda
days it's gonna
doubting
be
it'll
probably
ever
like I actually think one day it will happen. I feel like it's gonna be like 10 years from now.
Yeah.
They're gonna have
10
some kind
years
of like
from now.
news reunion or whatever if they
Mhm,
still
yeah.
if they're not still on TV, still playing these characters.
Right,
I can
right.
full on see Kevin being like, it was a flip script.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah.
was originally supposed to be me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, what I would love to ask him personally is like, when exactly did you find out when it was
Yeah.
going to be? Because then you could kind of put the pieces together from there.
My understanding is that it was like the night before they filmed.
Before.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
tells you everything you need to know,
Yeah, exactly. Especially with the fact that they had like a private set to film like the Lukavets.
Mhm.
And
Right.
I was like,
right.
that's extremely odd because not only that, but I feel like if I was like a crew member and I wasn't
Mm.
on the list to be a part of that
Mhm.
private crew, that would feel like
Mm.
such a slap in the face to me.
Yeah,
Because,
Because
really.
like these crew members are just as much of an important part and just as invested in this show as we are.
Right, exactly.
And I feel like they would feel just as invested in Elizabeth's story
right,
and Kevin's
exactly.
and like as we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. No, I
feel
totally
like-
agree.
I feel like another little quote unquote piece of evidence that it was a flip script is the fact that Kevin and Aaron both, I'm pretty sure, talked about that Nathan and Elizabeth would be singing together in season 9.
Right, yeah. Well, here's the thing. They weren't going to sing together in the actual season. What they were
No, I
going to
think they were gonna
do.
do like a home and family episode. kinda
Yeah,
like
I
what
think it
they
was
did
either
with
that or they
her.
were going to do it with
Yeah.
Deidre, like do
Yeah,
some
they were
kind
gonna do
of
like,
like,
an in-person interview once
Right.
COVID kind of let up and they were able
and
to
that never
actually be
happened.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that
COVID
never
kind of
happened.
crushed that first,
I think
And then obviously the finale crushed it. But yeah, because he talked about it a lot. They both talked about it like
Right. They even
mentioned it
had
at
a
least
song
10 times.
picked out.
yeah.
They
Yeah,
even said they had a song picked out and
I know which
never
song.
happened. Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Which song?
It's from the musical Waitress. He actually did a
Oh,
cameo.
well, that
singing
figures. Yeah.
Yeah, it was from the musical Waitress, which is very Kevin McGarry.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I
Wow.
think-
love I
Okay.
can't remember what the name of the song was. I can't remember.
I mean, I don't really know any of the songs from Waitress, but
I'll have
I
to
know
look it up, but
I know the ones that Kayla sings all the time.
I
Those are the
want
ones
to say
I
Kayla
know.
sang one
Yeah.
of these songs. Kevin actually sang one in a cameo, I want to say.
Oh, okay.
I feel
But I could be
like
wrong.
the Hardys have come a long way from
Mhm.
season 8
Yeah.
Right,
finale,
right.
for
Yeah.
sure. But Theresa, I know this is something that you've addressed on your
Mhm.
page, so there's still a lot of division. What are some ways
Mhm.
that you think we can get past that? Because I know, like, when I went to the Hardee's VIP weekend in Napanee back
Right.
in June,
Mhm.
and Brian and all the rest of them, Brian Bird and all the rest of them are talking about the finale and just how crazy people went, and like, just, oh, this was so exaggerated, this was always how it was meant to be. Well, BS. But anyway,
Yeah.
sorry, PG-13.
It's fine. It's abbreviated.
Yeah. But first of all, I loved the fact that Jeanette was like, I would have killed them. I would have gotten rid of both of them and brought her.
Of course she would say that.
Ranger.
That's so great.
I
Yes,
love
Jeanette.
her.
We love you.
She is so precious. I absolutely love her.
Yeah.
She's one of my favorite authors, probably of all time.
Same.
Yeah.
Same. And
Well, we have her to thank for even being here today.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah.
To get there and for her to know who I was when she met me, that was just like,
that is so cool.
I
Wow.
loved it. Yeah. And that was through actually the books that I've written with the first one was co-written with Cleopatra. Margot, she goes by her middle name now, but Cleopatra Thomas. And when we wrote the first book, she sent it to, I think, Joyce Keeler, who forwarded it to Jeanette for us, and we just kind of ended up in touch with Jeanette personally. So
that is so cool.
I've exchanged
really is,
emails with Jeanette. And of course, my mom passed away early this year, sorry. And then she had just lost her husband and stuff. So when we got together in person, we were able to talk about that and just kind of, how God's bringing us through and all that. But she's absolutely precious. I loved her. I thought it was so sweet. She made a point to come tell me goodbye before she left and give me a hug.
That's so sweet.
She is so sweet. But when we were sitting around a table at a tea thing, I was sitting there with some other ladies, and we got to talking about JT. And the one lady.
Your face, Morgan.
Why do you think I didn't even say the full name?
Yeah.
And the one lady, we were all talking, like sitting there talking about what a terrible showrunner he was. And she was like, what makes you think he was so bad? I don't think any of us necessarily knew up until that moment. She was Team Lucas. Like, none of us knew it. Like, the majority of people there.
There's more. There's more. Just wait.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Apparently, she was apparently involved in him getting the job.
No.
Like, she works for or at least used to work for a car agency, like a what the heck is it called? Car dealership. Thank you. Thank you, Brain, for working finally.
Car agency.
For a car dealership where he would bring his wife's car to get serviced, and she would see him there with his Bible and his laptop, and he would be working and whatever. And she got to talking to him, and she was like, hey, there's this show that whatever. And so he reached out and got the job. So she thought he's been doing this great job. And I'm like, listen, he's an excellent writer. Excellent writer. I loved the episodes that he wrote. They were like some of the best episodes.
They were mainly Team Nathan episodes.
I know. They really were.
I've even watched some of he used to write for Chesapeake Shores. Which I adore that show, especially some of the seasons that he's written, so it's not like
the love comes softly,
exactly, I think
where is this
he's a great writer, but he's a terrible showrunner. She's like, what makes you think he's such a bad showrunner? I'm like,
have you watched the show?
This and this, like we just start listing off all this stuff. And it was like it hurt her feelings or something. And we're like, I'm sorry, but that's
Yeah.
If you can't handle the heat, get out of the kitchen.
but I will say that
in a loving way.
Yeah.
Let's just say I have some creative disagreements with him. That's what I will say. As a storyteller myself, I have some creative disagreements and differences with him.
Like my biggest pet peeve with him is like him going on lives with his wife and talking smack like he did. Him like literally bold-faced lying to us. Like, I understand you got to lie a little bit whenever you're doing a show and you're like in the middle of it and you're trying to kind of like weed through all the drama that's going on. But first of all, you created that drama. You created it. Y'all are the ones that wanted to pin Team Lucas and Team Nathan against each other by creating the teams, doing the hashtags, doing like all the little sneaky little peeks and stuff like that to egg us all on.
Yeah.
Okay. Second of all, when you do that, if you go back and look at so many other shows that have done the whole triangle situation, it never, ever worked out as far as the fan base. It always created this huge rift in the fan bases. And one of the main things that they always wanted to brag about with Hallmark was that the Hearties were this unstoppable force.
Yeah.
Like
I think the love triangle, it could have worked if they didn't do it. Yeah, if they didn't do it the way that they did it in season 8. And unfortunately, they took it so far that it literally tore the fandom apart in a way that it cannot be fixed or be the same way that it was before. Obviously, I think there are ways that it can be at least partially, the breach could be mended, but there are always going to be people who are upset about it. Always. Yeah. And
well, and here's the thing, and we have said this umpteen times. I don't think we were ever necessarily Team Nathan and Elizabeth. Yeah. We're literally Team Nathan.
Yeah.
Team Nathan, as a whole, I think honestly just truly loves the character of Nathan that much. And all we want is to see him happy. We don't care if it's with Elizabeth, if it's with May, if it is with Faith, if it is with Fiona, if it is with a completely new character that they bring in. We don't care.
Right.
We just want to see him happy. And it's like they have added salt. It's like they've rubbed salt into the wound by continuing to use Nathan as a punching bag.
Yeah. I think that was the thing that blew my mind after season 8 was, I have a great idea. Nathan just got rejected. Let's hit him with a car. Let's make him have to let the guy who hit him with the car go from jail. Literally. Who
saved the dude that stole his girl.
Yes. Okay. So many things. But the point is, this could have been handled so much better. And I think we all know that. I think they know that now too. But the point is, when you do something like that, your first move to healing the breach is promising the people that were hurt that it will get better and actually following through with that. They did neither of those things. If you listen to any of the interviews or anything after season 8, the finale that is, nobody says, oh, Nathan's story is going to get better. Nathan has like a great story coming ahead. He's going to find love and blah, blah, blah. Nobody said that. Nobody. And
only
sure
thing
enough,
they
it's because it
ever-
didn't happen. Yeah.
Well, the only thing that they ever like teased was like apparently after the finale aired, John Tinker texted Kevin and was like, "Hey, I got this great idea." for your
Well, now we know
character
what the
next
great
season."
idea was. Him get
And
hit
I'm
by
like,
a car.
What the heck? Like, as much as I would hate, absolutely despise Nathan leaving the show, like Kevin leaving the show and like having Nathan no longer be on the show, I was like literally thinking, he got off of Heartland for this.
Yeah. Yeah.
They had him and Lou break up for this, which honestly I despise Lou more than I despise Elizabeth.
That is fair. I
That's a whole
hate
different
Lou.
topic.
Yeah. But let's just say I
But-
was binge watching season 1 of Heartland this Friday, and my conclusion is Lou is problematic more so
Lou is
than
the problem
Elizabeth.
with all her
Yes.
relationships.
Lou is the
the
problem. It's
Lou
like
is
that
the
Taylor
problem
Swift
with all
song, "Oh, it's me,
relationships.
I'm the problem." That is Lou. Lou is the
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah,
I will say,
absolutely.
I will say, I don't hate Lou, but she's probably my least favorite character.
Yeah. That's a better way of putting it. Yeah.
That's that's the Nicole nice version. I'm working the
He's
bitter
the one that
pill.
says stuff in a loving way.
Well, I'm the
Yeah.
one who just said I hate Lou. So
I said it too multiple times, and I'm not afraid to keep saying
Oh my
it.
gosh.
yeah.
No, I feel like they did multiple things wrong. And I'm sorry, I know I have no training in any of this whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
But I can honestly say I think we have some pretty darn good ideas. Like I 100% have
Yeah.
confidence in our skill, in our logic to recognize when something is bad or when something is
Right.
good.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest mistake they made, honestly, was dragging the triangle out so long.
Yeah. It should have totally ended
That's
in
season
episode
7.
2 or 3 or even season 7. Yeah.
It should have
ended
ended with the
there.
hug.
The
Yeah.
hug, the hug. It should have ended. It should have like not necessarily ended there, but it should have been like the footnote.
Yeah.
trial. And then
Or at
it was in
least
season
it
8.
should have led to that conversation where Nathan and Elizabeth
Yeah.
talked about it, and then she gave him a definite no, and then he spent that season and not all of season 9, getting himself together, and then by season 9 he'd be ready to be with someone else. But
Right.
no, we gotta drag it all the way out.
Yeah.
Gotta
The
get
biggest
those
mistake they
ratings.
made. The biggest mistake they made was dragging it out so long.
Mhm.
The
Mhm.
biggest mistake they made with the actual her quote unquote dumping him was
Mm,
bringing Jack into it.
yeah.
That made me madder than anything else because I was like,
Yeah.
okay, first of all, those two are not the same man.
Mhm.
At all.
I mean, I
They're
love Jack.
polar opposites.
I love
Mhm.
Jack
Yeah.
so much.
Right.
But I would say without blinking, I would say that Nathan is a better man than Jack Thornton ever was.
1,000%.
Mhm.
Like, and
So
we've said this so many
yeah.
times on the podcast, which I'm sure you know that. But
Oh, yeah,
like,
yeah.
we've said this 1,000 times. Like, one thing that we loved about Nathan that Jack always seemed to mess up was that he never ever put his job as a Marine as a Mountie above those that he loved. And that's not
Mhm.
even just including Elizabeth. It
Right.
included Allie. It included all, like, it hurt. Like, you could even see, as
Mhm.
much as he did not have a good relationship with his dad, it hurt him to put
Mhm.
his dad in that jail cell.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Like,
Exactly.
that
Yeah.
episode really showed me how he was, because like
Mhm.
that's his own
Mhm.
father, and he didn't
Right.
even really have a good relationship with his father.
Mhm.
And you could clearly see how much it hurt him, especially
yeah.
to do it in front of Allie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was actually
Yeah.
that very
Like-
scene where he had to arrest his father. That was the scene where I was like, I'm Team Nathan. That was the moment. I
Wow.
can
Yeah.
pinpoint it because it was I like I said, I had never, seen either of the guys before and anything else. And to believe it or not, I actually liked Lucas better in season 6.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, he's
totally
kind of
understand that.
mysterious. I mean, he kind of lost me at one particular point. I won't go into that, but with Nathan, I was kind of on the fence about it. I was like, you know, she's gonna end up with him because he's the Mountie, whatever.
Yeah.
But then in that scene, I was like, okay, not only do I want her to end up with him, I love this character. Because Kevin just like brought so much nuance to it, because if you know what that feels like to go through that, it is like, he is so true to it. It is incredible. He is so incredible in those episodes when his dad comes to town. It's amazing. Yeah, I can't say that enough.
He had so much more of a layer to him. And he honestly kept, even throughout, even in season 8, like it showed so many more of his layers that he has. Is not only just an actor, but as the character of Nathan. And like one thing that I really loved was that no matter how many times Lucas threw him under the bus, and I mean like threw him under the bus, Nathan never did it back to him. Right. And he had probably just as much ammo to do it, and he never really did.
Right.
At least not intentionally. I don't think he ever did it.
Yeah.
Whereas Lucas,
some of my favorite exchange between those two is still the save it.
Oh gosh. You have no idea how many times a day I want to use that when people come in and like, save it, leave me alone.
Yeah, save it. That's the shirt we need to make. Save it in a loving way.
Yeah. Hashtag save it.
Save it in a loving way.
Yeah, not Nathan being relatable for the 500th time.
I think the writers just did, this was just bad writing.
Right.
No good writer is going to take your hero, the one who is going through the most, who is getting literally kicked while he's down, drugged through the mud, literally anything and everything they could have done to this character happens to him. The getting threatened of losing what is essentially his daughter. Right. You know, like literally everything that could happen to him happened. No good writer is going to leave that character unrewarded. Also, no good writer is going to bring a child into this romantic mix and leave that child brokenhearted.
Yeah.
That is terrible, terrible writing.
That was a big part of why I thought they were going to end up together in the end, was because Allie was involved. And I was like, how is this going to end with Allie if it doesn't work out? Like, you're not just breaking Nathan's heart, you're breaking Allie's heart too. And, you know, obviously they kind of just glossed over it in season 9 or whatever, but that was a big part of it.
Like her sitting there in front of Elizabeth and asking Elizabeth about, you know, different people to set her dad up with. I was like, are you serious right now?
Oh yeah. Don't even get me started about that.
This woman literally shattered this girl's world. Not just her heart, her father's heart, and her whole entire imagination about finally having a mom in her life again. And then you're gonna have her sit in front of her and have her talk about setting her dad up with another woman.
Yeah. Not a good look. Not a good look. Yeah.
I was like, that clearly showed just how much they actually cared about that whole situation.
Yeah. I mean,
but
yeah. One thing I would say that, like, you know, we were talking about the whole thing about like unity and bringing people together, and, you know, you guys are able to look at the show now with, you know, pretty neutral eyes. I mean, you still love Nathan and everything, but you know, it took me a while, because of all the reasons we listed and everything. It took me a while to get past that frustration, and, you know,
it did us too.
Yeah, and obviously I think I said things that I probably should not have said, and, you know, things like that. But, you know, it's like sometimes when these things happen, and, you know, they happen, but you have to acknowledge, and I'm not talking about you guys, I'm talking about mostly, you know, powers that be. You have to acknowledge that sometimes something like this is more than just a show for people. It's almost like their escape, kind of, you know. And for me, I've looked back on my life, and any time that I was going through something really stressful or difficult or whatever, this was kind of like my escape, my happy place. And it almost felt like someone like invaded it and like completely changed it all, you know, into something as angsty as my life was at the moment. So it was that was part of the reason why and I know a lot of other people that I've talked to, that's part of the reason why they were so upset in the end, was just because it was like, it wasn't just that Nathan didn't end up with Elizabeth. It was way more than that. It was like, you know, it was like part of your life was.
Yeah, it was, and it was 110% how they went about it.
Right,
we
right,
literally said
exactly.
that night. We were like, we don't care that she ended up with Lucas. We love Lucas. We've said that from the start.
Exactly, yeah. I like Lucas better than Elizabeth in the, you know, newer seasons.
We said this on the podcast so many times. Like, if they would have made it known that Nathan wasn't going to be the one that she was going to choose in the end, we would have been totally fine with that.
Yeah.
Just keep him as the hero. Keep him as this person who is so selfless and so honorable and so, you know, just a gentleman and such a kind-hearted person who would sacrifice whatever he had to do to make sure that someone else was happy and content and, you know, in a good place. Like, if you continue to keep him as that person, I don't care who he ends up with.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember looking back.
But it would have been nice to have a warning of being like, hey, this isn't the guy she's going to choose by clearly doing stuff you know, that you tend to do in triangles. It would have been fun. It would have been so fun.
Exactly.
They did the complete opposite. Like, they gave us clues that it was going to be Nathan, and yes.
I mean, and they even said it. Even Aaron Craig said a thing. Watch for the clues. Watch for what's in the background. Watch what's in the music. Watch what's in this scene. Watch what, you know, watch this, like, she literally told us. Yeah, she literally told us to dissect stuff, and then they got upset when we did it.
And I almost feel like it was not just the actual writing of the show, but almost even more so, it was all of the promotional stuff around the show that was even more misleading to people. Because I've actually, like, I've listened to a few opinions of people who watch the show without having either preference and not knowing any of the promotional stuff. And a lot of times they say, like, oh, it was, you know, like, because they beat Nathan down so much in season 8, it was kind of obvious to them. But they don't have the piece in there to keep in mind where we were told it was a love triangle and both of them had a shot and both of them were going to have a fair chance to prove why they were, you know, to be with Elizabeth. If you look at it without any of the promotional stuff, Nathan did not have a shot. He did not have a chance. He didn't go on one date with her, barely had any conversations with her that were like reciprocated. Uninterrupted, reciprocated, like anything. And I've rewatched season 8 several times against my better judgment, but it's very
one done. I'm sorry.
I watched it a few times after everything went down, and believe it or not, it actually was more obvious to me, but not because, you know, one was like a better guy than the other. It was more about like one guy was getting all the opportunities and the other guy was not. But they promoted it as being a love triangle in every single preview.
Even at that, though, if you look at every Hallmark formula they have ever used, the guy that the girl starts out with, which is Lucas, is not the guy that ends up with the girl.
Right.
The one who gets all the dates, gets all the attention, the one that gets all the stuff that you usually only get if you're in a relationship, doesn't actually end up with her in the end.
Right, exactly.
That's just basic Hallmark formula. So I mean, you know, that's even to a lot of Team Nathan people.
The underdog always gets the girl.
Right. And it's funny because I remember looking back and thinking during the week before the finale, there were things that people said, like cast members and crew members and, you know, producers and everything, things that people said before the finale that actually made me worried. Like, I was like, ugh. And I just kind of was like, no, well, Nathan has a chance because this is a love triangle. And if he doesn't have a chance, this whole season, what does it mean? You know, like it means nothing
Right.
because he was basically not even a part of it if he doesn't get a chance. Like things people were saying were kind of making me worried. And then in hindsight, I'm like, should have seen the red flags because, you know, yeah.
I completely
don't know.
agree with you. I think one of the things, not really necessarily talking about what actually happened in the show,
Right.
and this is what caused me to completely ban myself from Twitter.
Mhm.
The way that Team Lucas was able to get their hands on the finale
Mhm.
and act the way they acted on Twitter was what
Mhm.
made me even more mad, because like the fact that that woman still has a job beats me, first of
Yeah.
all, because
Mhm.
everyone who knows that what happened knows exactly who I'm talking about.
Mhm.
I know who
But
you're
whenever
talking
that
about.
whole thing happened, I'm like, okay, obviously it happened after the finale. I was just kind of thinking, like, who operates a show like this?
I
Like,
don't know.
who?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like when I get to like the finale, sometimes I honestly go speechless because my mind is still filled up with so many things that I hated about it.
Yeah.
And which I hate, because we had so many good things. Just like in season
Yeah.
2, like there's an overwhelming amount of bad things that happened in season 2, but there's also a lot of great things
Good
that happened in
things.
season.
Right. Mhm.
Because like in season 8, we were able to find there were so many amazing things that happened in season 8, and I can't think
Right.
of any right now because I'm filled with nothing but the negative.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think
And I mean,
yeah.
Like, I
I
mean,
just
the way that they
sorry,
the
yeah,
way
go
that
ahead.
they acted on Twitter was horrid.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if I was
Like-
a newcomer coming into the Hearties community and that was my first experience with the Hearties community, I would have been like, these people were flat out lying when they said these were like the most nicest people in the world, because they were not.
Huh. Well,
They were
I mean,
not.
I do have to say that there were people on both sides who were
Oh,
just
yes.
oh
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
yeah.
That's
I
what I'm
mean,
saying. Like both
even now
sides
I'm
were
still
just
dealing with
horrible.
people. Yeah, like 2 years later, I used to do live Q&A on my
I remember,
my
yeah.
Instagram
Yeah.
account, and people called it therapy sessions, and they were like, "Oh, we get to vent about everything." And I was like, "Great. Maybe this will help people to, you know, get over it." But the longer that I
heal,
was but the longer that I was doing it, the more I realized people are not getting over it. They're just holding on to
It's
it, and
kind of
they're
adding
just
fuel
kind
to the
of
flame.
so after a while I was like, I
Yeah.
can't keep doing this because these people, they're not letting go of it, even
Mm-mm.
though, you know, I'm not saying there's a better alternative that's been presented, but as a person, for me personally, I want to get over my bitterness so that I can, you know, re-find my love for the show again, even if it's not
Mhm.
exactly what I would have chosen. I wanted to like refine my love of the show again, and I was just seeing all of these people like holding on to their anger and negativity and frustration. And when you're a year out or even 2 years out at this point and you're still saying things like that, and that's all that's coming out of, like, that's the only reason you're still sticking around with When Calls the Heart, is just to, you know, spew negativity. I'm just like, I'm sorry. I can't tolerate that. I'm really sorry.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I think a couple of another mistake that they have made, and Theresa, you brought this up,
Mhm.
is that when they do something like that, the first thing they
Mhm.
should do is offer gratification and say,
Right,
okay,
right,
we're gonna
right.
fix this.
Mhm.
Like,
That's
okay, we're
fair.
gonna make this work. And they have
Mhm.
never given Team Nathan gratification. They've never given Nathan gratification. And I'm sorry, but that
Yeah.
is a slap in the face to
Yeah,
Kevin.
that I will say, for anyone who is still frustrated because he hasn't gotten a good storyline to make up for everything, that is completely justified because it hasn't
Yeah,
happened yet. I'm sorry. It hasn't. I mean, I say that all the time. I'm like, please, for the love of everything good, please give Nathan a good, happy, positive storyline.
Yes.
And that
feel like
doesn't
would
involve him
help
getting
a
hit by a
lot.
car or having to take stupid plea deals or anything like that. Please.
Yeah. I mean, you hear Team Lucas saying, get over it, all this kind of stuff like that. But it's like, you haven't given us anything to get over with.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
you're not giving him anything. Like now we have it. Like
Mhm.
now he's going to get himself into another triangle, which except this time he's in the middle,
Yeah.
and he knows the heartache that's possibly going to happen to one of these girls.
Yeah.
Like
Oh my
what?
gosh.
Like that is the worst move. Can you imagine having
I'm
gone
just
through
scared.
that
The
situation
only-
and then having to put one of the persons through the exact same thing you just went through?
Yeah. It's ridiculous. And
And hopefully,
mean,
I'm hoping to
personally-
God they don't do it exactly the way
yeah,
that they did.
you know
with
what?
it.
I
I'm hoping
don't
to God
think
that-
they will. I think
Yeah.
what they'll do is they'll deal with it in the first episode, and then I'm not saying he'll
I'm
get
praying to God they
together
will.
with someone in the first episode, but I'm saying they will likely
Something will be
establish
said.
that there
Something
is
will
no
be
love
said.
triangle. Yeah. Yeah. I
Right.
think they
I
will
hope.
establish there's no love triangle
Please
in
no.
the first season. Yeah.
Please no.
But honestly, me and Kerri at this point honestly hate to say anything because 9 times out of 10 they go the opposite direction.
That's fair. I mean, I have not the greatest track
So-
record with making predictions.
Yeah. Now there were a
But
few that
Although
we
I was
got
actually pretty good with season 9, although nothing really shocking happened in season 9. So, you know.
Yeah.
Me and Kerri actually got a lot of it. Like for instance, Fort Clay, we got right on the money with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Ron
That
and
I
I,
think
we were
a
like,
lot of
point
Team
blank.
Nathan got
Okay.
that correct.
I
Yeah.
have a question about that. Is it just me, or did it feel like there was more to the story about that we didn't hear?
Okay, yeah,
Yes.
there I always wondered, I'm like, are we supposed to believe that Hardgraves, meaning his commanding officer, was wrong about the earlier instance too? Like, was he being, you know how he's wrong with the inquiry, like, because he's, you know, launching this inquiry and it's ridiculous, it doesn't need to happen. Is the same true of last time it happened when Nathan disobeyed orders?
Mhm.
Like, is that
It's
what we're
100%
supposed to
true.
conclude? Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know.
It's 100% true because I will keep my language nice here, darn well that I could get a little worked up. Darn well that if Jack Thornton had been in that position, then he would have done the exact same thing. He
Mhm.
would have
Absolutely.
done what he felt like was his duty in that moment, regardless of orders. Because
And I mean, think of all the times that Bill has like broken orders, and
Yeah.
even Jack has done it too. I mean, it's not
Elizabeth
like
Thornton is the queen of breaking orders. Are you kidding
yes,
me?
yes, exactly. I know.
How many
And
times has Jack
I-
Thornton, Bill, Abigail, Lee?
yeah.
Every townsperson in that town has told that chick, "Stop it
Yeah.
down."
Yeah. But the
move.
difference is Nathan's the only character that ever has to have the consequences of actually breaking the rules. Nobody
I
else.
Thank you.
I also seem to remember that Kevin and Aaron said, I
They
think
created that storyline.
Mhm.
Thanks,
So
Kevin.
why give them that? I'm gonna
kidding,
get a
no.
little pet peeve right now, but that is one of the worst things. The fact that they actually gave Aaron and Kevin the ability to have that storyline be placed in the show.
I think, you know what I think happened? I think they pitched it kind of a different way, and that's the direction they took it. I don't think it was actually going to be like, Jack replaced Nathan. I think it was going to be something else. But for
I
the
do too. I think it
purposes
was
of the
gonna-
love triangle, it was almost
Yeah.
like we need it's like I don't know if any of you have seen the Hunger Games. I haven't either.
Yes,
But
I have.
you have. Okay,
have.
so it's like with Gail and PETA. They needed
Mhm.
something to make Gail not, eligible anymore to Katniss,
Yeah.
and that was him and the bombs going off and killing her younger sister. They needed something
Yeah.
to make him no longer eligible. In Nathan's case, this was that thing.
Fort
They
Clay.
wanted to have a Jack connection, which still is kind of, leaves a lot of plot holes, but at the same time, they were like, let's kill two birds with one stone, use the Fort Clay connection that we want to have with Nathan and Jack. We'll use it as the thing that makes him no longer eligible, basically. Because whenever
I
you have a
agree with
love
you.
triangle,
Yeah.
whenever you have a love triangle, the only way to end it is to either make one of them out to be a lesser guy, or just have one of them step away, which wasn't going to happen if Nathan was not going to be the guy.
Don't
Yeah.
get me wrong. I loved the connection with Nathan and Jack in Fort Clay, but I hated the way they did it.
Oh yeah,
The way that they did it.
It was
To me,
so
it definitely-
soapy. It was like,
Yeah.
oh, big dramatic
Oh, yeah.
moment. Everyone's involved. It's like, no, come on.
Because I
Yeah.
always felt like there was going to be they were going to have some kind of connection be drawn between the two because they're both Mounties. They
Right.
both were
Mhm.
obviously these highly if you think about it, he had the job first.
I was
Mhm.
Right,
thinking to
I
say
mean-
that.
Then Jack had it.
Yeah.
So we know just by that instance, and the fact that we never had Jack to call, but yet he got called to the Northern Territories. But we never
Yeah.
got him being called to Fort Clay. But he had the job first, and it took him being transferred to get them to get Jack.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Second of all, I completely saw it like you. I definitely I see that now because now when I really think about it, I see Kevin and Aaron using that as a way to be like, okay, this is how we get it to be that it's actually going to end up being Nathan.
Well, even if it
Not
wasn't
Lucas.
used for that, I do know that Kevin really just wanted to have Nathan
A
have a
connection.
connection to Jack because he's like, you can't have a Mountie come in and not have him
Mhm.
somehow connected to Jack. That was what Kevin was thinking. I think the writers just
Yeah,
took that and said,
it's
let's use
true.
this as the moment
Yeah.
where, you know,
Yeah.
because even my
Yeah.
mom who watches, you know, she watches the recent seasons with me. She said to me that moment where Nathan goes to like reach out to her and she like backs away. My mom said that was the moment where it was over for
Oh.
Nathan.
That
My
was
mom
like the
said that. I don't personally believe that, but my mom, who is like completely neutral about the whole thing, she's like, that was the moment when.
like
Mom said the same thing. My mom.
Like
Yeah.
My mom
So
said the same
maybe
thing
they're right.
after
I
that.
don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
My
Like
mom
the-
does not have the rose-colored
like,
glasses on, so yeah.
Mom has like been in the room with me and Kerri have been in all those spiels.
Mhm.
And she was like, I'm telling y'all right now, and Kerri can attest to this. She's like, I'm telling y'all, Lucas still got a shot. Lucas has still got a major shot up in here. And
Yeah,
sure enough,
that's
and
what
I
my dad was
literally
saying the whole
like,
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad, the minute that Elizabeth ditched Nathan at the door when they were going on
Yeah.
the date, my dad was like, he needs to just walk away because
Yeah.
she's not ending up with him. And I was like, wait, why? But what? He's like, no, she's gonna pick Lucas. I was like, no, just wait
Yeah.
and see.
No, I
We
feel
were
like
like in such high denial. We were like, no.
Yeah. Oh
you're
yeah.
not
Well,
letting
in
this
hindsight,
go.
I know I was a little bit
I
biased
was-
in my view. Yeah.
Yeah,
just a
we
little
were,
bit.
Like, definitely had our rose-colored glasses on.
Yeah.
But we
Yeah.
weren't completely wrong because according to every Hallmark formula out there, we were right.
I
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
I mean, we literally have documentation that says they changed the script the day before.
mhm.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah,
I
I
was-
think
So,
I think
How do you
that
think-
yeah, I just
How-
sorry, you go ahead, Kerri.
How do you think we move past this? Because I notice, like, for me, I feel like the biggest thing for me, and I was thinking about this earlier, is to not talk about it. Because it's like, as long as I don't talk about it, I'm okay, you know. But like you said, it's like we never can just move on, which, as got said earlier, they've never given us anything to move on with.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've never gotten the gratification for the particular character that we love.
Mm-hmm.
That, I mean, we literally just love this character this much. It has nothing whatsoever to do with Elizabeth.
Yeah,
We
I
literally
think
just love this one character.
yeah.
So how do we move on from that? Because I know, like, I have certain friends that are Team Lucas. The one lady
Mhm.
from the event, she and I can still talk and be friends, and we have no problem. Another friend of mine, we literally cannot talk about When Calls the Heart
Mm-hmm.
because we will end up in an argument, which, granted, that
Right.
comes just from a difference, and this is true for everybody as well. That comes from a difference in taste in men, because
Yeah.
she doesn't really
See,
find
once
Kevin
you hit
attractive.
the point where it's like, oh, Lucas is my type and Nathan is my type. Once you hit that point, you can't really find common ground. It's like,
Right.
okay,
I mean,
so
I mean, it's
whatever.
different whenever they say like the person you think is cute is not cute. Then it's like,
I mean, see, here's the thing. I can
Then it became
understand
personal.
to a
I
degree,
think it's personal.
but yeah.
It's personal.
yeah. I
Like,
mean,
excuse me, are you like saying that I don't have good taste in men? Like, what is going on here? Like,
Yeah,
Are you
that is
blind?
fair. That is fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
But then
mean,
you're kind of insulting me. You're not necessarily insulting the character or
right,
even the
exactly.
person.
Yeah, exactly. But in answer to your question, Kerri, I actually have two things that I did this past year that
Mhm.
really, really helped me. And the first one was really talking to people of other opinions who I knew weren't just gonna blow up in my face, send me a
Mhm.
paragraph long text or whatever saying, oh, blah blah blah. Basically what I did was I would talk to Team Lucas people, but we would talk almost like we would gradually get into it. We wouldn't like say, oh, I think you're wrong because of this, or I think Lucas is a jerk, or which I don't believe. I don't believe Lucas is a jerk. But we would
I
have
think
these
he had his
conversations.
desperate moments. He had
Yeah,
his
well,
desperate
see,
moments.
here's
Here's
the thing. Here's the thing. All of the characters had bad moments.
Exactly. They all have
Yeah.
bad moments.
And I think that right there is a good place to start, kind of,
Yeah.
where you're able to acknowledge, the pros and cons of both characters, and really I've found it's so much easier for me than it is for other people I know to actually find common ground with people who have different opinions than me. And I don't really know why that is, but it might be because another thing I try to do is listen to other opinions that I don't agree with based off of my own personal like preference. And what I mean by that is like if you sit through maybe an interview with someone, or you sit through a podcast that you don't normally sit through, and you just kind of sit there and take it in, and maybe it might make you angry the first few times, and not that you would be listening to the same episode over and over again, but like it's almost like an exercise that I do with myself, where I listen to things that I don't necessarily agree with, but it kind of just opens my mind a little bit to what other people are thinking. And that way I'm more able to voice my opinion in a way that isn't just based solely on what other people who agree with me think and what I think and everything like that. I've found that it is so difficult to form your own opinion when you have loud opinions in both ears. Like when you have people that have the same opinion as you, or maybe even not the same opinion as you, just like telling you what to think, basically. And as a blogger, I would write my episode reviews, and I knew what my audience was thinking, and that made it very difficult to be unbiased or actually
Right against that
share.
wave.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like when you know what your readers are thinking, you feel like you have to produce for them what they want to hear. But
Yeah.
I'm the type of person who would rather hear the truth than hear what I want to hear. And so my approach is I always look to talk to people who are as either neutral as possible or as like open-minded as possible. I find it very difficult to talk to anyone who's in tunnel vision a little bit, whether they
Right.
be Team Nathan or Team Lucas. I just find it very difficult
Exactly.
to talk to anyone like that. So I just find that it's so much better to open your mind to other opinions, not just the one that you've been feeding to yourself since the season 8 finale. That's one thing that's really helped me. And that was actually after season 9 aired. I started to like open up a little bit, and then I wouldn't get as mad every time someone said something that I didn't agree with initially. And then I would actually think about it and be like, oh, maybe they're right. Maybe I'm wrong in this situation. And then it's less about hearing what everyone in your, like, whether you're Team Nathan or Team Lucas, it's less about hearing that big sound of like, oh, this is what we believe, and more about like, oh, this is what I believe. I don't actually agree with this person over here or that person over there. That's just one thing I found that was super helpful to me. And now that I've kind of reached that place, I actually have a lot of unpopular opinions, like as a Team Nathan person. I have some very unpopular opinions, but that's okay because, that's just what I've concluded from all of the opinions I've heard. I kind of seep through them and able to come to my own.
Right.
Yeah, sorry,
I
I've been talking way too
No,
much.
you're
No,
fine.
No.
Fine.
I'm sitting here thinking we have a philosopher in the room. Like,
I loved
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Thank you.
I think that is the longest period of time on any episode we have had with nobody talking over anybody else.
That's why I got nervous.
You win an award for that, Teresa. Like,
Thank you.
Full on. Because I
I'll
was like
take it.
literally
Thank
sitting
you.
here like, oh my God, nobody's interrupting. No one's saying anything. So I was like trying to make sure I stayed silent. Because I'm like, but like throughout your whole thing, I was like, whenever you said open-minded, neutral, that's one thing me and Kerri, we were like, after the season 8 finale, we were like, we've got to get a handle on this.
Right.
I do not want our podcast to be nothing but us spewing hatred at Lucas or spewing hatred at Elizabeth or spewing hatred at everyone.
Right.
I mean, we may spew a little hatred towards like people on like the powers that be, a little bit, because at the end of the day, they're the ones that are truly the one
In a loving way.
Yeah.
I don't know. Y'all can be in the loving way. I'm not. But
Yeah.
I was just like, that was one thing, because like we did feel like one of the things that we even said after the season 9 finale, before the season 9 aired, we actually said like we actually feel bad for Lucas because he is stripped out of a good romantic love story, just like Nathan.
Yeah.
I mean, he now has this black cloud of like having this other man hurt, especially if him and Nathan actually become friends.
Right.
He's gonna always remember that the fact that they're friends is because he didn't get the girl he loved. That he got the girl he loved.
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff. And we actually felt really bad because it was like, he at one point got hurt too. I mean, he literally showed up to her door and was like, I'm not gonna fight you on this. You love him.
Right.
And I'm not gonna stand in the way of you getting the love that you deserve. You've already, you've lost the love of your life, and now you're actually opening up your heart again. And I'm not going to stand in the way of whoever it is that you want to love. That took a lot, and we even said that in that episode.
Yeah,
right.
And so
exactly.
That's one of the things that me and Kerri were like, we don't want to be this podcast that is nothing but wanting to continue to roll coals over these characters that we may not agree with or may not like, and continue to alienate this other team. Because it's like they do have a lot of good points. Like Lucas isn't just a horrible character. Sure, I probably started liking him a little bit more in season 8 than I did in season 7 because of the amount of times that he would throw Nathan out of the bus.
Season 8 Lucas is the Lucas I wanted them to show me in
Yes.
season 6.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. If they would have showed that Lucas to us in season 7, would have been fine.
Yeah.
Would have been like, okay, that's who you want to give to Elizabeth? Great.
Yeah.
Just make sure you don't have to snub the other dude like you've been doing.
Yeah. I think that was the biggest problem. Like we said before, it was just them, and not even like Lucas specifically, but just them snubbing Nathan was the worst part. But
it was so unnecessary. That's what even made it even worse. It's like it wasn't even necessary.
Yeah.
It wasn't even necessary.
Yeah.
But that was one of the things, like, because we had so many podcast friends, we had so many people that were coming to us and like venting to us about how much they hated everything and how much they just couldn't even watch the show anymore. And it broke our hearts because like we built a family just like the cast and crew built the family making the show, and just like the Hearties have become a big family. We created our own family, like with you and Nicole and Amy and Casey and Cammy and all of these other and Dara and just so many people that we've built the friendship with and the family with. Yeah, it got torn apart also in the process because a lot of them aren't even watching the show anymore, and a lot of them we even kind of feel weary of being able to talk to certain people because of everything, and we don't want to upset them, just like we don't want whatever they say to upset us. And so it's like we didn't want our podcast to be that place to continue to cause those problems to continue to grow.
Yeah, and like I said, that's part of the reason why I got rid of doing live Q&A, because I didn't want my I figured out that a lot of people, a lot of the things that we would say in the live Q&A, I would go through social media and I'd see people writing paragraph long comments of exactly what we talked about. I'm like, I don't want to be giving these people ammunition to keep
Right.
being
Right.
angry.
We
And
have
I'm
to
like,
stop. Yeah. And
so
honestly,
I was just like, I can't do this anymore.
yeah, I kind of look back on some of our lives, and even me and Kerri kind of got frustrated sometimes because we were like, okay, can we get off the bashing Lucas stuff? Can we get off the
Yeah.
bashing
Yeah.
of
Can we
Elizabeth
move
stuff?
on?
Yeah.
Move on. Can we talk about
Yeah.
the good stuff? Like try and
Yeah.
focus on
Let's get to the
stuff.
good part.
Yeah. Yeah. But I really
Yeah.
appreciate that you guys were able to, you know, move on and be as neutral as you are, like with your podcast, because obviously I've been binging it for the last few weeks. But
Aw.
but you know,
Teresa's-
like it took me a while. It took me even until season
Yeah.
9 was over, because I waited the entire season to really, you know, decide whether I liked, you know, Nathan with this person or that person, which we don't need to get into. But you know, like
We can, because I feel like
I mean, we
can
can
have a deep
if you want
conversation,
to.
but if you
Yeah.
don't want to, it's fine.
I mean, sure, we can. But for the point I'm making, basically, I was waiting for one of them, like Faith or May, to really fill that void, I guess, that, you know, not being with Elizabeth left. And, you know, when it didn't happen for me in the finale initially, I just kind of, you know, like, I was like, what am I going to do now? Wait a whole nother season for another wait and see, you know, storyline for Nathan. But once
Well,
that,
I mean, you mentioned Chesapeake Shores earlier. I still have not finished that series
mhm,
because I love Jesse Metcalf.
mhm,
So when I found out Jesse Metcalf was leaving the show, and that was like at the end of season 8 of What
Right.
Falls
Mhm.
Apart, and I'm like, I just went through this trauma that it took me literally 4 months
mhm,
to be
Right.
able to get a grip on, to be able to get
Mhm.
over. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I cannot turn around and watch this show that has taken away my favorite character from this
Mhm.
show
Right.
and deal with the week in, week out anticipation, hating it, dreading what might happen.
Right.
Whatever. I'm
Mhm.
like, I still haven't finished it. First of all, I don't have time these days.
I mean,
but-
luckily Chesapeake Shores handled it a lot better than When Calls the Heart did.
That I heard that, but I
Yeah,
also
the 2
heard-
Yeah.
episodes where Jesse leaves
Yeah.
are 2 of the best of the series. And the
also-
scenes between he and Megan and
Megan.
Rory, they are phenomenal. So good.
Yeah.
But I
I
mean, they
really
might make you sad and everything, which, you know, is
I have to
Well, I mean,
admit,
understandable.
they kind of made me sad because I like Trace and Abby, but at the same time,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I really like her with Evan.
Yeah.
Evan is a great man.
Evan is a hoot. I love him. Yeah.
Fun fact: the actor who plays Evan,
Robert Buckley.
I fell in love with him on One Tree Hill.
Oh, wow.
He's an
He's
actor who came
great.
from One Tree Hill. So when I
He's
found out he was
great.
going to be on the show, I'm like, okay, because like obviously I was the same way with Jesse Metcalf.
Yeah.
My mom adores him.
Right.
But whenever I found out he was going to be on there, I was like, okay,
Mhm.
I can get behind that because
That's
his
fair.
character on One Tree Hill I really liked, and
Yeah.
because in One Tree Hill 2 of my favorite characters leave, which that was a lot of
okay.
behind stuff that caused them to leave, and so they kind of had to bring 2 characters that would kind of replace their dynamic into that group or whatever. And he was one of the guys that kind of replaced one of my favorite guys that ended up leaving. And he
So I
filled the
guess
role.
Robert Buckley is like the typecast replacement.
Apparently.
Just like Kevin is
love
the
him.
typecast triangle loser.
But
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Me and Kerri joke around all the time. We're like, one of the questions that we're going to ask Kevin is that in your contract?
It's like, is it in
Do
your
you
contract to
automatically-
lose
if you
every single
automatically
love
send into
triangle?
a love triangle, do you lose every time?
I mean, the only one that he almost was about to win was in the Open Heart. But with
Yeah.
even with Open Heart, you knew they weren't going to end up together. You just knew
Yeah,
it
'cause I mean,
because
yeah,
Timothy Hudson has way too many problems.
he did.
But
Well,
everybody
with-
wants them together. But yeah, you just know
With
they're not
Chesapeake
gonna.
Shores, though, I did hear from a friend who shall remain nameless, that you could tell a definite difference after a particular showrunner / writer left the show. That it got a lot.
I mean, what
There was a
season did
difference.
he stop? What season?
Uh,
did he
I'm not-
stop?
honestly.
I think Fief and Michael started in season 5, maybe
Okay. Yeah, because
4 or 5. 4 or 5.
yeah, season 5 I think is definitely in their top 2 of best seasons.
Yeah.
But personally, I think season 2 is actually the best for multiple reasons. I love the family drama. I know that's ridiculous to say, but I love watching the family dynamics because I am like a huge nerd of like psychology and family like things like that. So to me, I'm just watching. I'm like, oh, that person has some mental health issues. I'm like watching it like a psychologist. I'm like, oh, this is fascinating.
Oh no, and she's been watching our podcast.
Oh no. I promise I only watch Chesapeake Shores like that.
But
yeah, no, don't worry.
Okay,
I mean,
moving forward.
Yeah, sorry.
We've already been going for an hour. So let's move forward a little bit.
okay.
I know, but I know. Moving forward a little bit to a subject we kind of mentioned a minute ago, let's just kind of loop it all into what do you want to see out of season 10? Teresa, I know you did post on this the other day. So
I want to hear all of yours too as well.
Yeah.
But personally, I would love to see obviously Lee and Rosemary as parents. I mean, that's kind of on everybody's radar. I would love to see obviously the love triangle worked out in the first 2 episodes, no later than that. I am a fan, and I know this is not a popular opinion here, but I want Nathan and Faith to be together, and I would love to see them together. I would love to see Nathan have some more Mountie action and more Allie and Nathan time. Yeah, I think we all want that. And then
I mean that rifle sling.
I was about to say that.
Possibly
get out of the car.
Too. I would
get
love
out
to
of the car.
Yeah. Best scene of season 9, so good. But possibly a promotion for him or some kind of like recognition. I would love that. And then
I would. I mean, like we got in the parade, he got promoted in the parade, but they didn't really make a big hoopla of it. But you know good and well, which I understand. Jack was like the main character, and he was, you know, and so I can understand. But it's like, come on.
It's funny because Jack was like in the small town of Hope Valley. Everyone was like, "Oh, Jack is like an amazing Mountie," but like, but basically when you actually think about it, Nathan was the one who got offered the prestigious position first. Nathan was the one who got offered a position to inspector first. Jack never got it offered to be an inspector. Nathan's like actually very high up there. And for him
Nathan's
to choose,
actually the better Mountie.
He's actually like, career-wise, he's a better Mountie, and because of that, it's a huge sacrifice for him to be in Hope Valley because he could be doing greater things. Jack was like, he'd get like praise from this inspector over here or a medal over here, but it was never like Nathan's actually getting promotions and prestigious positions and things like that. So Nathan's a very good Mountie, and I don't think most of the townspeople know that because they only have their vision of like, oh, Jack and the parade and the medal and everything like that. So I would love to
Nathan
see.
keeps his business quiet.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas with Jack, his stuff was always more public, like him getting the medal or
right.
Whatever. Now in Jack's defense, he did turn down at the end of season 1. I don't remember exactly what it was he turned down.
Yeah, he did.
Like the transfer and stuff, and he told Elizabeth, he's like, I'm not going to take it. I'm not going to leave you.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And she was like, basically,
I can't let you do this.
With your job, and he was like, I don't care, whatever I have to do, I'm not leaving you, and then of course he ends up kind of taking it, and then he ends up not taking it, and whatever.
Right, yeah.
In Jack's defense, he did do that, but Jack never received the promotion offers and stuff that Nathan did.
So it'd almost be like Jack was like the Mountie, like from a Hope Valley standpoint, Jack was the best Mountie. Jack like got all of like the honors and everything like that. But when you look on paper, Nathan was actually the better Mountie and like higher up in the ranks and actually going places with his career. Whereas, you know, like Jack would do something here and there and get recognized for it. But I'm not saying that Jack is like not a good Mountie. But and even I'm not even saying that like him getting celebrated in the town is a bad thing, because that actually gave the town something to celebrate and everything like that. But Nathan on paper is the better Mountie in terms of like promotions and stuff. So I would love to see him get some kind of like recognition for that, whether it be like maybe he does get promoted but doesn't have to leave Hope Valley, or he gets a medal for something that he did or whatever. I would just love to see that.
Like I would love to see, because like obviously in the first season, whenever Bill comes in, he is an inspector. And
Right.
he gets hired to come inspect the mines and stuff. I would kind of like to see that kind of similar storyline with Nathan. It'd be really cool if like they did almost the same thing with Jack, with where he goes and inspects another town who might be going to end up the same way Whole Valley did, where there's an explosion, but he's actually able to prevent it.
Yeah.
Like that would be really cool.
Yes.
That would be cool. I would love that. That would be awesome.
Or he at least stops some kind of mayhem that has similar effects to have happened in Hope Valley. Right. Because I feel like he's very like you said, like I want some actual real Mountie action.
Yeah.
It'd be really cool if he actually did it kind of solo. Like, don't get me wrong, I absolutely adore the relationship him and Jack Wagner have, both on screen and off screen.
Yeah.
But I would kind of like to see him kind of do something a little bit of a solo way. You know what I mean? Especially because like, if you think about it, Bill's a judge.
Yeah, Bill should not be doing Mountie stuff. I mean, last year I can understand Nathan was in the crash and everything, so whatever.
I mean, I get it, but it's like at the same time, like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, this man can
at this point,
himself.
there is no excuse for that to happen in season 10, because Bill is having health issues and Nathan is not having health issues anymore. So there is no excuse for
even though we do see
Bill to be in charge. There's
Bill's basically that person who is never going to officially be able to retire.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's retired.
Believe it or not, that's actually the case with a lot of cops in general. Yeah. But yeah, Bill is just one of those people. So
I'm sorry, but I see this man literally in a wheelchair trying to come onto a crime scene, and Nathan just being like, "Can you please get back to the nursing home? Like, chill out."
Oh gosh. Yes.
No, I do. Like, come on.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Thank you. No. I just like
I think my favorite scene,
by Jack's Instagram, we are going to see a lot of them together. Thank God.
Yeah. I love them together, and my favorite scene of like Mountie action with them is actually, and this is going to sound horrible, but it's the one in the season 7 finale where Nathan's the one talking down Jenny from the gun. Because Nathan's actually the one in charge of that situation. Like, even though Bill is giving his like commentary from the horse, it's Nathan who's doing all of the things. And like, I love that scene, and I would love more of things like that. I don't like it when Bill kind of takes over. I like it when they work together, or, you know, find some way to him do one thing and Bill do another thing, but I don't like it when Bill takes over. I like it better when Nathan kind of takes over. And with Bill's health issues, that could be a storyline where Nathan really has to kind of step up as the one in charge. Because Nathan is very much, I don't mean this in a bad way, Nathan's very much a follower. He's not as much of like a leader as Jack was. He's more of like a silent leader. I mean, I know
he's not going to push someone to the side who's trying to be the leader and be the leader, because though he knows he's got probably way more credentials.
Exactly.
I mean, obviously, we don't know everything that Jack did whenever he was a Mount, but that Bill did whenever he was a Mountie, because we don't know everything about his Mountie history. But I would have to argue and say that Nathan probably has a lot more credentials.
Yeah.
Because we've only ever known Nate, because he even said, like, he never even got to wear the uniform because he was an inspector.
Yeah.
Inspectors
Exactly.
don't wear the uniform. So that goes to show you that he never even got to wear the uniform.
Right.
Unless it was like for a special dinner or whatever.
Yeah.
So that goes to show you, like, Nathan outranks him.
Yeah,
even when it comes to being a Mountie.
makes it even more
Like
stupid that Bill is like, "Oh, I'm pulling rank." It's
right?
Like,
Well, I think Bill is just kind of the father of Hope Valley.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is totally
He
fair.
feels like
Yeah.
he's the one that's always supposed to be in front because he's the one that is, he wants to be the big protector. He wants to be, not necessarily be the big leader, but be the protector of this town because he has seen it from the very beginning on throughout through this big, huge tragedy, all these different tragedies and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's understandable. But like you said, I would like to see him not have to have Bill to do stuff.
Yeah. And I would also, playing off of that a little bit, I would love for us to actually see some kind of like father-son moment between Nathan and Bill. Because we see the dynamics, they're kind of button heads, but at the same time they look out for each other. And I would love for someone to just say it already. Just say it, because Bill lost his son. Nathan never had a great father. It just stands to reason that someone would say something. So please, somebody in season 10.
I actually think I honestly never saw them as father and son.
Really?
I always saw him, like, I saw Bill and Jack as father and son, but I see Nathan and Bill like brothers.
That's
like, I know that
they're more on an equal. They're more buddy.
That's fair. It
like
could be
like,
my vision of like them, but also of Jack and Kevin. Like I see Jack and Kevin as very much like, like the age difference, but also like they respect each other. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Somewhere between
because like the way that they joke with each other was always because like Nathan gives it back to Bill.
That's fair.
You know? Like
he does.
In the first scene that they ever have in season 9 where like they're making fun of each other, like he's obviously mocking Nathan's that situation. And you know, so I mean, whenever that was kind of going on, that to me, I just feel like they're brothers. Like Bill's the older brother, and Nathan's like, yeah, you may be older than me, but that doesn't mean you're smarter than me.
That's fair.
Like,
that
let's go,
totally
old
fair.
man.
Yeah,
let's go.
And I can totally see that. Yeah. I think another thing,
interpretation, and like you said, not everyone's gonna see the same thing in the same situation.
Exactly, because I didn't actually
totally
see. Yeah, because I didn't actually see Jack and Bill have enough of a relationship for them to be like, oh, we're father and son. It was more like they were always like missing each other, I guess. Like I don't even know how to describe it. It's just, I think of the episode where Bill had to be locked up for counterfeit. And then Jack is like, you didn't tell me anything. And then Bill is like, well, I'll tell you next time, like whatever. But there was like a lot
of a very father and son move. Like,
it's like lots of trust issues in that family. But it's like,
I love that. My favorite scene in Top Gun Maverick is when Rooster goes down to save Maverick, and he like pushes it down. He's like, what the? He's like, here you. That would be
saved your life.
It was. So you would be down here with me. You should have been back in the ship by now. And he's like, what? He was like, and he just like face drops, and Rooster's like, look, we're just throwing stuff and knives at him, like, oh
yeah.
I love how he just like pushes him into the snow.
And he's like, what the heck? I just saved your freaking life, which I'm not.
Yes, I love that movie and that scene. So yes, I
was also going to say one thing I would love to see is more of Bill and Little Jack, because we have not gotten enough of that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because he is his godfather.
Yeah,
So.
yeah.
exactly. And I
And-
think we will. I think we will,
Especially now that
especially
Rosemary and Lee are gonna have their own kid. I feel like
Right.
they're not gonna do as many scenes with Rosemary and Lee having Jack. I feel
right,
like since they now are gonna have their own little one to take care of,
right.
Jack's gonna start really having more scenes with. I mean, Bill's gonna have a
Yeah.
little bit more scenes with. It's so hard
Yeah.
not to say Jack because of Jack Wagner.
Yeah,
I
But,
know.
Yeah.
anyways, what like we were talking about with the scenes and stuff, I think one of the reasons why that really pinpointed me with wanting more of Nathan just being able to show just how he is as a Mountie by himself was the whole situation with Allie's dad.
yeah.
Mhm.
Which should have
Yeah,
been
I'm
2 or
telling you,
3 episodes, not just one. Just throwing that
Yeah,
out there.
exactly. So I mean,
Yeah.
like that whole storyline, the way that he just like picks him up and slams him against that wall, and he's like, "That is
Mhm.
not your daughter," you know, and like how he like totally manipulated him with all the Mounties at the cabin.
Mhm.
I'm like
Mhm.
the way that he did not always use his brawn, even though he had it. He
Yeah.
used his brains, and that's what always really that's what stood out to me the most about how Nathan is as a Mountie. Because I'm not saying that
Mhm.
Jack didn't have his own
Oh,
like
yeah,
smart
yeah.
way, like outsmarted them, but if you think about it, Jack used his brain more than he used his brains in a
Mhm.
situation.
Right. He
Like,
used
'cause
the
you're
one punch
constantly seeing him
knockout.
like
Yeah.
tackle people, punching them right in the face. Like you saw, because I've been rewatching the seasons and like I'm getting on
Mhm.
season 2. I'm telling you, like Jack throws more punches and tackles than he does anything else.
Yeah.
And of course, the
Nathan
whole
has
gun right in the face.
never punched anybody, believe it or not.
No,
I mean,
no.
he's tackled
Not
people,
that I
but
know
he
of.
does not punch people and like knock them out.
Yeah,
That's
like
not
the roughest
yeah.
he got was probably with Allie's dad, and it was
Yeah.
warranted. But
Mhm.
anyways,
Mhm.
I think he got punched in his very first scene.
Oh
didn't he?
yeah, he did.
he got punched. He got punched. He did not throw the punch.
Yes. He got
But,
punched.
Foreshadowing of things to come. Welcome to
Yeah.
Home
right? We should have seen that as a warning.
Yeah.
The
Taking a
fact
punch
that
for
was
Lucas,
the
no
reason
less.
why he got punched.
Yeah. No,
But,
Yeah, defending Lucas, no less. Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
we're not necessarily defending Lucas, but trying to
I
keep Lucas
agree.
from being pummeled by Jesse.
It's so
Because let's
interesting
face
to
it,
me.
Jesse was fixing to rough up Lucas.
Jesse was just a jerk sometimes.
I
In the
miss
best way
him.
possible.
Yeah.
I miss
Yeah.
Jesse. I miss Jesse because he was such a jerk sometimes, but it was hilarious.
Yeah. To me, I kind of compared Jesse to which is funny because his last name is Flynn. Because I kind of compared Jesse to Flynn Rider from
Yeah.
Tangled.
Jesse
He would actually make
wishes
the
he was
perfect-
Flynn Rider.
He would make a great like Flynn Rider, and like if they did a live
Yeah,
reunion. You've seen him with long hair.
I actually could
true,
see
yeah.
that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
All
so
he
I
needs a
mean-
little goatee and yeah.
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 Nicole,
That
what
is
do
true.
you want to see out of season 10?
The thing I'm most excited about is Lee and Rosemary having a
Mm,
Yeah.
child.
yeah.
They are my favorite Hope Valley couple.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
They're so great.
Same.
I feel
So
like
you
season
have a-
9 did them dirty with all the newspaper stuff a little
Yeah.
bit just because they
Yeah,
were
a
in the
little bit.
office the whole time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they didn't really get to do a whole lot of scenes out with everybody else. They were really
Yeah,
mainly in Lee's
And
office.
to me,
Yeah.
it almost felt like the same scene with different lines 50 times
Yeah.
over.
A
But
little bit.
I'm
yeah.
excited for them to be parents and Rosemary. to be
Yeah.
pregnant. Sorry, Nicole. I totally
No,
hijacked
it's okay.
your wish list.
It's okay. That was probably one of the best scenes in the season was,
It was.
Lee finding out he was going to be.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like we actually got to see them in pajamas. Is that
Yeah.
weird that I pointed at? Like, is that weird that I noticed that? Like, oh, they're in pajamas. Okay.
No, it's not
Um,
something we normally see. That's why it stands out.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing about it, we've seen their bedroom like at least 5 times. We've never seen Elizabeth's bedroom.
Yeah.
We've seen Little Jack, but
Yeah.
we've never seen.
We've seen little Jackson's crib and his big boy bedroom, but we've never seen her bedroom. And we've only ever seen Nathan and Allie's house one time, and that was during the Christmas.
Also when
The
they made
sleepover.
cookies
The
and
sleepover.
not
Yeah,
cookies,
those are the only
cupcakes,
2
yeah.
times that we ever saw, and we never saw Nathan or Allie in their rooms. So we
Yeah.
only
Yeah.
saw
we
them
have
like-
seen Nathan in his pajamas though.
Yeah, we've seen him in his pajamas though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think everything I'll mention is what I'm looking forward to most. And then
Yeah.
especially like more action scenes with Nathan, because
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
one thing I noticed is like the early seasons went on before Dan left, like the action scenes started to go away.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I feel like that might have been one reason why Dan left, because he wasn't
Yeah.
getting challenged enough.
Yeah. And I can totally understand that too, because
Yeah.
like if you look at his other work, he's done a lot of the outside of Hallmark.
Action.
He's done a lot of action. Like he was on The Rookie, and like he even played
Last
a cop in
Resort.
Eye Candy.
Last Resort
And-
was his first
Yeah.
role in the States.
Yeah. So I mean, you could definitely see that he was more of a hands-on action type actor. So yeah.
Yeah. Right. Just curious,
I am-
Nicole. Just
No, you go
sorry.
ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Just curious, because I know Theresa said, just curious, who would you want to see Nathan with? Or would you want to see them bring in a completely new character?
As of right now, I want him with May, but I'm not opposed to Faith. I love Faith, and I think they would be a great match. I think I need to see more of them together.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, they had like what 2 scenes in season 9.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
Yeah.
totally fair.
Yeah. But they would make a great couple. I just need to see more of it.
Yeah.
be
Same with
fully on
me and
board.
May and Nathan. I would just need to see more of them, you know,
Yeah.
in more intimate situations, I guess.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Morgan?
Okay, so as of right now, I'm like Nicole. I want him with May, and what really sold me with May was that. Not saying like Faith didn't. I guess it's because I didn't see as many scenes of them one-on-one, like really like having a intimate conversation. But like whenever him and May were whenever he actually like opened up to May about his mental health after the
Mhm.
accident and stuff, I'm like, you never saw Nathan do anything like that with anybody else on the show, like nobody
Mhm.
else on the show, not even Elizabeth. So it was like, that was definitely a pinpoint for me. I was like, if he feels that comfortable to share that kind of part of himself with her, and her be almost a complete stranger to him, that just to me speaks volumes. Now, I'm not opposed to him not being with Faith either. I do think it was kind of weird that they had like that gazing into each other's eyes in the doctor scene, because it kind of, to me, it felt out of nowhere, but it was nice to see that at the
Mhm.
same time.
Mhm.
I was kind of conflicted in that, because like it was cute and it was sweet to see Nathan have that in that
Right.
moment, but it also still felt a little out of place.
I
I
think
don't know why.
yeah, I think the reason why it didn't hit me out of nowhere is because I could tell Faith liked him in
Yeah.
season 9. I could tell, like, the minute that she came into the pharmacy, it was like, "Hi, Allie." I was like, "Aha." Somebody
Mhm.
likes him, you know. I
Yeah.
knew she had it for him. So I
And
guess
see,
it
that
didn't
almost
come
felt
out
a
of
little
nowhere,
awkward.
but
And yeah, that even kind of felt like, I was like, wait, hold
oh
up.
yeah, it
What?
totally came out
Yeah.
of nowhere.
It's more like we went from 0 to 60 too fast.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like we
yeah.
haven't seen it built up to this point. I agree with you. It's like this scene with Allie. It's like, okay, since when did her and Allie get so close?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's
Right.
like we just missed something, which we all know time is fluid and
Mhm.
in Hope
They
Valley.
always do kind of
But-
do a little bit of a time jump, which
Time
we
jump.
don't ever know how long
Yeah.
of a time jump it's
Right.
been. But
Yeah.
like, I was just kind of like, I feel like if their conversations were more just like simple, like maybe opening up to them, just kind of like having a simple conversation or
Right.
whatever,
Mhm.
or something, like
Yeah.
it just felt like it was too much of a time jump.
Right. And that's
That,
totally fair. I guess
Yeah.
the way I
But I'm
saw it
not
was
opposed to it.
less about like, oh, she and Allie are friends. It was more like I saw it as her like, oh, the best way to get
The man's
to
heart is through his
the
child.
best way through to a single father's heart is through his child, and she knows that. Not that she's like playing a game or anything, but she kind of is like she's pursuing Nathan in a way, like
Yeah.
that's kind of how I saw it. But obviously, like you could take that any way that you want, but that's the way I took it, and that's how I was able to tell that she kind of had feelings for him was that
Yeah.
moment, because I was like, okay, she's pursuing Nathan. This isn't just about Allie. She's also kind of pursuing both of them in a way. Also,
Yeah.
there were cut scenes with Allie and Faith. Unfortunately, I wish they.
I'm not really surprised because I feel like they cut a
Mhm.
lot of scenes with poor Jada, and I feel so
Yeah.
bad for like
Yeah.
last season was a big season for her. Like she
Yeah.
really put out all the stops. Like
Mhm.
that
And
scene,
Taylor.
like her acting was phenomenal in that season.
Yeah.
Like her way that she like how she did Allie's emotions through that whole triangle situation. Like
Right.
you know, it was just amazing.
Am I the only one, and I know I'm not because Theresa, you and I had this conversation the other day. Am I the only one who is so ready for them to give Allie a new wardrobe?
Yes. Yes.
Please.
Absolutely.
Like, come on.
Get that 16-year-old girl out of the same flippin' jumper she has been wearing since season 6.
Yeah. She
Literally
needs
the
like
first
pink.
episode that
She needs
comes
like
in,
pink
she's in that same
dresses with
jumper.
like lace on it or something. She needs something really pretty, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
And you don't have
she
to do
is
a whole
in.
lot to her hair. Like that one episode where her hair was like that. I can't remember which episode, but they did her hair. I was just like, no. Like just add some curls to it and leave it alone. Like why are they doing
Yeah.
that little like half up like thing where it looked like she was going like
yes.
I think it was Ned and Ned and Florence's wedding.
Yes. Because
was
because
like-
Fiona
I
came
think
and had to
so.
fix it. Yeah.
Oh, Fiona could only do so much before it still kind of looked weird.
Yeah.
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 And
I was
speaking,
like,
I just
Speaking of-
feel. Go ahead, Nicole.
Speaking of Fiona, yeah,
Yeah.
I was gonna say, speaking of Flomo, we need more Flomo. I mean,
We
Floyo.
do.
Sorry.
Yeah, Floyo.
Floyo.
Oh, yeah. Well, we need
That's
more of
what I-
both, honestly.
We need
but
Yeah,
more
we-
both. Yeah.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
need more of both.
As long as
Yeah.
there is
Speaking of-
this is not even my personal preference, but as long as there's no more vaudeville dancing, my dad literally he could not with that scene. He never got over it. Every time I mention season 9 of When Calls the Heart, he's like, oh, Ned and Florence, the dance number. I'm like, listen, it was not that bad, but he just could not get over
No.
it. So for his sake, I hope we
hilarious.
don't have that anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is hilarious.
Yeah. He's
Who
funny.
else is ready for them to finally give Fiona a love interest? Like we talked about
Yes.
how Nathan doesn't
Me.
have one. Where's
Yeah.
Fiona? Like this girl,
Me.
like no offense, but to me, she is like, and this is probably because I just love Kayla so much, but she is like one of the pretty, most beautiful
Oh,
actresses
yeah.
both inside
Yes.
and out.
Mhm.
And I just know like she could, you know, like
Mhm.
I even like the idea of Fiona and Nathan together. Like that scene in his office where she's like, "Where have you been?" And he's just like,
Are you coming?
Yeah,
ma'am.
like,
you got
yeah.
his business card.
But I feel like they're not gonna do it because I mean Kayla and Kevin, like how they were able to get through Feeling
Yeah.
Butterflies and My Grown Up Christmas List without like probably ripping apart through a bunch of film from just laughing at
Right.
each other. I have no clue.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you know, she talked about in the interview how she couldn't like the one scene like with the bachelorette game where they were doing like the hands and stuff like that. I was
Oh
like,
gosh.
you know, she was talking, no, Nicole, we can't go on that bandwagon.
Wait, what?
You were saying,
Don't
oh, no,
go
she-
there. Don't go
Don't
there.
go there. We do not talk about the hands game. No.
No.
I wasn't
No.
going there. I wasn't
I
going
think
there.
everyone can universally agree that that scene and that situation was just not.
I
No.
wasn't going there.
But we won't go
But,
there. We
like-
won't go there.
But she was trying to like deliver her line, and like literally Kevin's on the other side of the room, and she literally couldn't hold it together because he was either making faces or literally just standing there, and she just couldn't handle not giggling at him.
Oh my gosh.
And I was just like, oh my God.
well, you know the
But I
scene
do
where
want
she
her
and
to s-
Hickam are dancing at
Yeah.
Florence and Ned's wedding? Apparently
Yeah.
she's like laughing in that scene and her face is away from the camera and Ben Rosenbaum is like trying to keep it together because
Mhm.
she's laughing in his face. And the reason she was laughing is because Kevin was making her laugh on the other side of the room.
I'm not surprised.
Of course.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
But like,
That's
'cause, I
another
mean,
thing. We
literally-
need to see Nathan actually dance and have a +1 at Lucas and
He
He
Elizabeth's
had a
wedding.
dancing scene.
I
at
know,
Claire
and it got
Jess's
cut
wedding, and they cut it.
again, like
I
everything
know,
does.
yeah.
Like, oh, come on. But no, with Fiona,
picture.
don't get me wrong. I
The
love that
picture.
they haven't just swept her up with a bunch of relationships. Like we did have her with the blacksmith, which was nice and
Yeah.
Yeah.
simple and sweet. But I do love that they've mainly been having her be like this woman of business, like being this
Mhm.
strong woman in a man's world, trying to do a
Mhm.
man's job. You
Yeah.
know, and it's like I do love that. Don't get me wrong, and I hope they do put her in a relationship this season that does not take away.
Right.
From that
And I
aspect
think if
of
she were
life.
paired with someone like Hickam, it wouldn't. Because
Yeah.
he's very much like supportive of her, but also not like someone who's going to be like, oh, you can't do business, because they'd both be in it together technically. So
Yeah.
I feel like it would also make sense for the two of them to be together. And I was not initially a fan of them two together, but I like it better now because now we know that Fiona actually was engaged prior to this and basically got her heart broken in that relationship. And it's almost like, you know, Hickam would kind of be the opposite of that. You know, he'd be like someone who's super supportive, super nice, super generous, you know, wants her to follow her dreams, unlike her previous fiance. And I almost feel like it would just be like kind of like a healing storyline for her to be with Hickam. So
I agree.
yeah, I
think
mean,
I would love to
obviously
see
there
the
are
two of them
other
together.
options for Fiona, but I feel like that one could make sense, and it would
I feel
be
like
pretty
she,
easy.
I
to
feel
do.
like she brings out a confidence in him too,
Mhm, that
because he's
too,
actually
yeah.
kind of the, in a way,
Shy.
he's actually kind of the klutz, the shy guy, the whatever.
Right.
Although I will say, I have said this umpteen times, I could actually see him and Faith together because with as clumsy as that
Mhm.
guy is, he needs a doctor right there all the time.
That's fair. That is fair.
That's what I was gonna say. I feel like it's kind of an unpopular opinion of people teaming Faith and Hickam up. But after this last season,
See, it's
I
funny
started
because
to
like
ship them.
initially I was like on board. I was like posting Faith and Hickam. I'm like, yes, bring them together. I
Yeah.
think yeah. Wait, what?
Hickam do like holding his ear, the don't pass out, don't pass
Oh
out.
yeah.
I don't know.
Classic. Yeah. Yeah, I
I
think
love Hickam. I've said this several times. I'm like, I love Nathan, I love Lucas, but just let me have Hickam. He is
Yeah.
so stinking cute.
I will say
Yes.
this, and me and Kerri, I don't know, you probably noticed this in our podcast, but whenever the season was first coming out, we were like, if like because we were talking about like who would Lucas end up with after everything happened, and we were like Fiona.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
Fiona.
Yes.
Like they both.
I mean,
I
there's
think, like, I was telling
there's
Kerri-
not even a question. Of course he would end up.
No.
Yeah.
And I was like, in fact, me and Kerri were like thinking of like scene ideas, and one of them that I came up with was like I could just see them like speaking French at each other, whether they're mad at
Oh,
each
yeah.
other or they're trying to be all romantic. I could literally just like either screaming at
I
each
can
other
see
in
more of an
French.
argument, honestly.
Yeah.
If they
And
get
then, like, everyone
Gustav
else is, like,
involved.
looking at
Oh
them
yeah.
like,
That would be hilarious. Yes.
you know,
I love
because like she
Gustav
spoke
too.
French too, and she can like understand French and she can speak it. So I was like,
Right. Yeah.
it's like
Exactly.
she's more of
Yeah.
a city girl, but at the same time can handle being in, you know, the country or in the
Right.
the Wild West or whatever,
Mhm,
you
right.
know. And it's like obviously Lucas has somewhat proved that he can handle more than we thought he could in the beginning. Even though he doesn't know how to chop wood.
Right. I think it would also be interesting because Fiona comes from an extremely large family and Lucas is an only child. That makes for
Right.
some really good
Yeah.
storylines, I
Yeah.
feel like.
Well,
I'm
and
telling you.
that's another element of Hickam, actually, is we learn that he is like the only boy out of.
Mhm.
I love when Bill finds that out, that he's all like, you can almost see this. Well,
He's
that
like,
explains a few things.
The only
Look
boy.
on his face and like, come here. Like, come here. Let me help you.
Yeah. I mean, technically, which this is weird, but technically Nathan's the only boy in his family too.
Technically,
I mean,
he only
I
has
guess
one
it's
sister.
different when you don't have, 8 sisters.
bunch,
or
but
Whenever
yeah.
7
you only
sisters.
have
Yeah.
like one,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's kind of different. But whenever you have like 3 or 4, and you're like literally the only boy of your
Right.
father,
Yeah,
like,
that
too
is
much.
true. Yeah.
I really want to see more of Bill and Molly.
Mm,
Yeah.
For one thing, I really want to see
Yeah.
that.
There's
Molly, I
We're
like that dress.
slowly seeing them. Yeah. What was it? However much money well spent.
Well spent, yeah.
Yeah. But so I really want to see them together. Or more of them together, I will say.
Yeah.
Obviously Lee and Rosemary as parents. That's like at the top of everybody's list.
Right.
I thought it was interesting. I could be wrong, but it looks like they've brought Rosalie back, which actually kind of
Mhm.
indicates
I
to
think
me
they-
that Bill and Molly might kind of be getting together this season, because we have not seen Florence's son until her and Ned got together, and we still have
Yeah.
not seen him since.
That was my
That's-
first thought when I saw her.
That's a
Yeah.
good point.
Yeah, I don't know, but
Yeah.
we'll see. But in that group photo, it did look like probably Rosalie.
I'm
Yeah.
99.9% sure that's Mammy
Yes.
Laverick.
Yeah.
Saying it looks like her. Yeah.
Mhm.
Let's see, what else would I like to see? I would like to see more of Elizabeth actually with her students.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I would. I
Yes.
feel like
I
this.
feel like she's more herself when she's with them. Like, the season
Elizabeth
has
is her
been
best
like, oh,
self when
Elizabeth.
she's with the with her
Yeah.
students. She is her
I
best
want
self.
to see little, and we're probably not to him being this age yet, but I want to see little Jack in the classroom.
Aw,
Yeah.
yeah.
And Elizabeth trying to deal with her son,
Yes.
probably being the prankster and the troublemaker.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, along with Cooper, the teacher's son and the preacher's son
my
are the
God.
two troublemakers. Yes.
That's such a
Oh.
like authentic thing,
Yeah.
though. Like, come on,
Yeah.
we can all agree. It's
Yeah.
authentic.
Of course.
Yes.
Yes.
The
Speaking of
bell
the
scene
Canfields,
in
speaking
season
of the
8.
camp,
The
Oh,
bell
yeah.
scene.
yeah.
That was
Speaking
so
of the
cute.
Canfields, I want to know exactly what happened in the town that they were in before they came to Hope Valley. Like, I
Yeah.
really want to
Yeah.
know what happened verbatim. Like, we know
I
it has
really
to
need
deal
to
with the
know.
fact that we obviously know it has to deal with the fact that of how Angela became blind, which we know is
Blind.
because of racism, because of her being black, and because of just that whole how it was back in those days. It
Mhm.
wasn't uncommon for doctors to shoo people away who were of a different ethnicity, not just black people, but Asians, Indians, all of that. So I'm definitely excited for them to bleed more into that part of it, because I don't really like how they kind of walk around that subject. And I understand they're trying to wait for the perfect time, but it's almost
Right.
like they're afraid of going that way, of
Yeah.
going that route. Like, that
Mhm.
storyline is kind of like it, in which I hope that they do handle it with sensitivity. Sorry. But it's kind of like that Tom Holland video where he's just like supported, and he's like in his English accent, and he's trying, and then it literally takes him in a American accent to say supported.
Yeah.
But I do hope that they do it with sensitivity, and really allows even Viv and the like the actual actors and actresses to really help collaborate into that, because I
Right.
feel like they can probably pull some really good.
I think they
authentic,
already
like-
do help to, find the direction for those scenes, but I really wish
Yeah.
they would go delve deeper into it. I mean, that's always
Yeah,
my
like,
hope with When Calls the
yeah.
Heart, is that they'll delve deeper into these
Like, stop
issues,
walking
whether it
around
be
it. Like, we know this
racism
is
or
where you wanna
PTSD or
go.
anything like that. Yeah, I always wish they
Right.
would just go a little deeper, but
Like, they could have
I
had, like, for instance, like, they could have had Nathan actually have like a nightmare or
yeah,
something like that, and us
yeah.
actually see him like waking up from that nightmare, just like pouring
Mhm.
sweat or whatever, and like Allie
I feel
coming in like, hey, like,
Yeah, the thing
feel
is, like, because Chesapeake Shores season 6, and spoiler alert, they actually deal with like addiction and like trauma and everything like that. Like, because they deal with that in Chesapeake Shores, they're allowed to. They should be allowed to on One Calls the Heart too.
yeah, exactly.
Initially, actually, they were going to go more into the PTSD storyline with Nathan, but Hallmark cut it down, and they said, no, that's too much. But I really wish they had gone, full guns with it. Not too like over the edge, but obviously just like enough to know for sure, oh, he has PTSD, here's how we're going to deal with it.
But yeah, I hate that they dance around such important subjects that need to be talked about. Because I mean, like you said, like in Chesapeake Shores, they hit it full on. They were not afraid to open that subject up to be shown and discussed and matter into that person's life. And it wasn't even just one episode. It was like it followed that character for a while.
Right.
It was like done like they did, like you said, before, like we had this discussion before, you said like they did with Jack. Whenever he had his PTSD after Doug or the Northern Territory.
Yeah,
Doug.
Both actually, technically.
I wanted to see more of that because
me too.
I thought the scene in season 5, like right before the wedding between him and Elizabeth, was really good, really well done. I wanted to see more of that.
Are you talking about the scene where he comes to her house and finally tells her? Yes. That scene is fantastic. And one thing I feel like these deeper storylines allow for is really good acting. It really allows for actors to dig deep into that spot. And I mean, I love certain scenes in season 8 because the actors are able to dig into it. And I feel like sometimes with season 9 there wasn't as much opportunity to do that.
I think that's actually one thing that Morgan and I loved about season 9, Nathan, was seeing that snarky side of him, that sarcastic
that is true,
side of him come out. Because
that is true.
That's so Kevin.
It is true,
And
my favorite is always gonna be the, "Would you give me some more ice cream?"
Who's Coops?
Yes, I know Kevin had way too much fun with that.
I love the fact that he just got out of the car and shut the door and he's like, "Can you just tell Lucas to come see me whenever he's ready?" Because pretty much telling her, "I don't want you to be my instructor anymore."
You know, if you ever do want to actually learn how to drive, just give me a call.
I love how when you first get in the car, he's like, "Can you at least tell me that she taught you how to start it?"
Yeah, and it's like, no. My favorite though.
He did not.
Yeah, my favorite though is when he asked for coffee and Lucas is like, "I don't drink coffee." He's like, "Tea then." That's literally me.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I'll drink
That's me.
sweet tea, as in like Southern sweet tea, but you had to have like 2 cups of sugar up in that pitcher,
right?
For a tea, kind of sweet tea.
Yes.
But I love how it's like one of the things that me and Kerri was always worried about was them turning Lucas into Nathan once he got picked.
Yeah.
And sure enough, when in the wood scenes, we see him like in suspenders in a Henley, but he's terrible at chopping
The thing
wood.
is, he's bad at chopping wood, so it technically didn't happen.
So it
in
made
fact,
me feel better.
Nathan took over chopping the wood for him. So
I love that though. I love that though.
Yeah.
Okay, so
that was one thing I was worried about.
Yeah. And it actually took me a while to actually appreciate that scene. But I think when I really did learn to appreciate it was I wrote a blog post recently about what's it called? Nathan's character analysis, but specifically black and white thinking, which is what he actually talks about in that scene. He's like, "Oh yeah, I have to see things black and white, right and wrong, whatever." But I really like in that scene how like Lucas is kind of like, "Oh, well, maybe you should like slow down for a bit," and even though like I may not, especially in the past, have been Lucas's biggest fan, I really do like some of their dynamics together, and that scene in particular actually gave me hope that they could have a really good relationship moving forward, because it wasn't just like, "Oh, let's help Lucas out of a situation, let's make Nathan stumble over a bunch of words and mess up." It was more like them actually having a conversation, Lucas actually saying, "Oh, well, maybe you should slow down a little bit," because
I have said
people have to keep telling Nathan to do that because he doesn't.
I have said from season 6, those two were future best friends.
Yeah. Well, I think we all knew
did.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like you can see that they actually really do like each other. There's just this element
Yeah.
of the town
I
to
think
use
it's
that
just
one
like I
conversation
think
coming
they
between
really
them.
think like feel
Right.
like I like you, but at the same time I feel like I don't want to like you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
town.
Yeah.
I like you, but I don't want to like you.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
we should be mortal
Yeah.
enemies, but it's like I can't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one thing I am looking forward to in season 10 is them finally getting past the awkward stage and just
Mhm.
kind of actually being friends or having like that
I want
brother
to see-
relationship, like,
I want to see Lucas and Elizabeth and Nathan and whoever he ends up with double dating. Oh,
Yes.
and then add Rosemary and Lee in
Oh,
the mix.
gosh.
And this is gonna be good.
Triple date. Triple
oh
date.
man.
Except I can picture it more as it's a double date, and then Rosemary kind of ends up inviting her and Lee in on it somehow or another.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. What
But,
about
like-
this? What about this? A triple date, and then Allie can watch Little Jack and Lee and Rosemary.
Aw.
That'd be cute. There would be
And
no
then
Allie
Robert
left.
ends up helping out.
Allie and Robert.
Yeah.
Allie and Robert.
'Cause
Allie
we
and
all
Robert.
know
I'm here
Robert
for
is
Allie and
the
Robert. Yeah.
best man for the job.
Right.
But I see this scene and I have no idea. Like for some reason, like somehow like Lucas and Nathan end up being like over this a situation or whatever. They're like pretty much named being like they have to help each other out with this situation. Like they have no choice. And like they're bickering with each other and like obviously like on different sides of how to operate a system. And like Elizabeth just shows up with her teacher face and she's just like, boys, work together or do I need to put you in timeout? And like both of them just like pouting.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like I get to
Oh my
see that
God.
so clearly. Like I see them having that kind of friendship where it's like they're bickering and they like butt heads and stuff. But it's like at the end of the day when something gets serious, like kind of what happened at the fire whenever Lucas is on the ground and like Nathan comes and like helps him up and stuff. It's not necessarily something that's huge or made to be out to be huge, but it's just so simple yet rewarding at the same time.
Right.
That kind of
Yeah.
thing.
I really do want to see Fiona with a solid love interest. I would love to see that be Hickam. I'm not sure that we're going to see that, but I would love to see that.
Yeah.
Definitely want to see Nathan being able to move on with his life
Mhm.
Yeah.
and to actually be happy for a
I want
change.
to keep the snark.
Yes.
I want him to
Yeah.
keep the snark.
I love snarky
Like-
Nathan. Love snarky Nathan.
Yeah.
But I want to see him kind of being willing to let Allie grow up and
Yeah.
to
Mhm.
let her start hanging out with Robert or whoever or
Mhm.
whatever, and just watching him navigate that and even having conversations with Elizabeth.
Mhm.
I don't have a problem with them having a conversation about that.
No.
She's
And
Allie's
plus
teacher.
it helps that that's
Yeah.
her teacher.
Yeah.
She would
Mhm.
probably, plus she's a girl. She's
Right.
a woman.
Mhm.
You know what I
and she's a
mean?
mother.
She's a
So,
mother.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But I would love to see. I'm more for May at this point. I don't have a problem with Faith. My thing with Faith,
Yeah.
that just scares me, honestly.
That's
And
fair.
Oh,
Yeah.
the only reason, literally the only reason, I have no problems with Faith whatsoever, but literally the only reason that scares me is because of the track record they have had with Faith's relationships. I just don't trust them to actually make this one stick.
Well, the thing is, at this point, I know for a fact that they're definitely not going to break Nathan's heart again. Like, they will have a mutiny on their hands if they haven't already had one. So
Yeah.
for that reason alone, I'm not scared, just because
Okay.
But that's totally fair. I understand
when
when
you
fans
say
are,
that,
yeah.
when you say that though, like, what's the scoop on that though?
It's I don't know. I know the way. I guess put it this way: it's when you're in it for the ratings,
Mm-hmm.
you are not going to just keep uprooting relationships, because that obviously didn't work with Nathan the first time, and they lost viewers,
They
and
lost a lot.
their fandom was cut in half. So for that reason, I think they're smart enough to know not to do that again. And I think
agree.
I think that's part of the reason why they started the love triangle for Nathan in the first place between May and Faith, is because they're afraid to commit to anyone just yet. They want to make sure that the person that they put him with is who the fans want, and they want to make sure that it's going to work, and that their chemistry is good, and that they're going to be able to do good storylines and scenes with them. They want to be completely sure. So the actual love triangle with Nathan isn't actually, for the sake of doing another love triangle. It's because they're not ready to commit to one or the other yet. They wanted
I
to.
fully agree, and I kind of
That makes sense.
Yeah, and
That
the
makes
reason
sense.
why they
or at least I was
didn't
hoping
commit,
it.
yeah, and the reason why they didn't commit is because they know that once they pick someone for Nathan, he's gonna be with that person for the rest of the time, and so they want to be 100% sure, because
That makes sense.
yeah,
Well,
so
and
that's
the
why they
problem
didn't put
I
him with
have-
May initially, and that's why they kind of threw Faith into the game, because they want to make sure that they make the right decision, because it's going to be final. That's what I would say. That would be my explanation.
The reason I have my reservations about Faith is that, she's been through almost 3 engagements. But it's not like her fault. Obviously, that's writing, and of course, like they couldn't help that Paul was leaving, and I commend Paul for leaving because of his wife having a baby and him wanting to be in his son's life. I commend him for that, because a lot of people don't. Like Andrea's pregnant right now, filming. So it was like, and she's filmed before with her other pregnancy. So it's like, I don't get me wrong, I'm not bashing any actor or actress that does go ahead and still continue to film or commit to themselves to the role despite being pregnant, despite having a newborn, despite all those things. Especially because, like, I guess I commend him because he's a guy, he's a man. And like, I hate it, but most of the time people are like, you're just the dad, you're not needed at home,
It's like, yeah, you are sometimes. Yeah,
I think it's ridiculous. I think more men should be able to take a leave of absence from their work and have their own paternity leave.
Yeah, and doesn't he live in Australia anyway? So
no, he lives in Canada.
Oh, he does live in Canada. Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure. Yeah,
he lives in Canada. If not, and I think he spends a lot of time in LA, kind of like Andrew.
He does,
but I don't think he lives in LA. I think he probably does have a house in LA, but I think him and his family mainly are in Canada.
Okay.
But one thing that kind of also I feel like, I guess because we've seen her in so many serious relationships, I would like Faith to have a little bit of a Fiona moment where we see her really
which is fair.
as a doctor. That's mainly the reason why. It's not that I can't see her with Nathan, or I don't like the idea of her with Nathan, because don't get me wrong, they did have cute scenes.
Right, yeah.
But I do feel like he has more chemistry with May. But then again, I'm sorry, Kevin has chemistry with The Rock.
Yeah.
I've said it before.
I think that's the problem.
Kevin can literally have a full-on, scene with The Rock.
Yeah.
I mean, crying out loud, he had chemistry with Newton. He's a horse.
Yeah. I think the thing...
Same.
Believe it or not, I was actually I even wrote a whole post about this. I was firmly against Nathan and Faith after season 8, and actually all the way through season 9 until the finale, I would say. And the reason why is because the entire time in season 9, I really liked Nathan and May's cute meet. It's a really good cute meet. It's better than Nathan and Elizabeth's cute. Meet cute. Yeah, I said cute. Yeah. Sorry. Meet cute is better than Nathan and Elizabeth's. And I was okay, it can only get better from here. And I was constantly like waiting for that moment where I was like, oh, this is just as good, if not better, chemistry and a relationship than what he had with Elizabeth. And I was waiting for that to happen. And it wasn't really happening, but I was like, okay, it's building towards something. It's going to build towards something. And then out of nowhere, we had the infirmary scene with Nathan and Faith, which to me, it wasn't completely out of nowhere, but it was like suddenly all of this like chemistry in one moment. And it was the first time I had felt that since Elizabeth and Nathan. It was the first time I had felt that.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to say that I'm on board with Nathan and Faith. I'm going to wait until May comes back, and hopefully she and Nathan have a moment that will compete with that, and then I won't have to worry about it anymore. It was almost like, oh, I'm going to put that in the back closet and not have to worry about it anymore as soon as May and Nathan have tons of sparks in the finale when they see each other again. And the finale came, and it really, really left me underwhelmed. It really did. And I was just like, what happened? It was like she came back and there was just nothing.
You can tell there's a tension. It's more like there's a tension.
There's a little
Yeah.
bit of a tension, but it wasn't even that. It was just really strange to me. It was like really odd. And I just could not get over that. You know, it was just like almost like there was, it just, I don't know, I didn't feel anything. You know,
no,
it
like I
left
say,
me feeling nothing basically.
Literally
Yeah.
the only reason, and I love Nathan and May together, don't get me wrong, but literally the only reason I have a problem with Faith is because of the track record they've had
Right.
with her with the relationships, and then they keep bringing Carson up.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I think
season.
they both have issues that I, you know, kind of keep me on.
There's
I feel like
something
that-
that
yeah.
needs to give from either side, and honestly, I would love to see Nathan and Fiona together. As
Yeah,
well.
I mean, who
We
wouldn't?
know,
Who
like
wouldn't?
you said,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Like, you know, they're gonna bring it. You know,
Yeah.
those two are gonna bring it.
There's no
Yeah.
question about those two being able to pull it off.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think they would be hesitant to go with that simply because if on the very off chance that Kevin and Kayla were to break up, which I don't think any of us see
Awkward.
happening,
That
would
happens.
be
I'm gonna
super
cry. I'm gonna cry harder than I did on
I
this
know,
season
right?
now. I'm gonna cry hard. Okay.
Well, I think
Like,
Kayla
but-
actually said she wants to pursue a different storyline. I heard her say that in an interview. Which,
she does. She doesn't want Fiona to just
Yeah.
become this. We're all about romance all of a sudden.
Yeah.
I think she's a little worried that if Fiona does begin a relationship, her work with the business side of Fiona is going to kind of dwindle down. And I
Right.
can see that because,
which
like,
is where a
if you-
relationship with Hickam would eliminate that worry.
I'm not completely
Yeah.
on board with Fiona and Hickam. I wish
I'm
could,
not
but for
either,
some
but
reason, it's
I'm
like,
not completely on board. But yeah,
and I really like them as friends. I like them having that ability to be friends, and we don't get that many friendships where it's like a guy and a girl. They
right.
always end up being together. That's
Yeah.
also why I kind of like that Nathan and Faith have a friendship, is because he has someone to go to besides Bill.
Yeah.
Because I don't want him always having to go to.
But see, the
Because then
same
it
thing
feels
could be
like
said
he's
of
still
him and May too. Technically, like they could be friends
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, but I'm
Yeah.
sorry. That hug kicked his hug with Elizabeth out of the water.
Here's
True.
the thing. Here's the thing. Hugs technically do not mean anything because Elizabeth gave him 3. So hugs technically don't mean anything.
Oh,
I'm sorry. It's
that
gonna
hug knocked all three of
basically
them
my
out of the water.
philosophy is it's gonna take more than a hug to
I agree.
convince me.
I agree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where I'm at.
But you were talking about how you were waiting for the chemistry to like really resonate with you between the two and really knock out the chemistry he had with Elizabeth. For me, not saying like I just feel like his chemistry with May is better.
That's fair,
That hug
yeah.
really solidified it for me. But I also see why you feel the same way about that scene in the infirmary because it was really good.
Yeah.
I just can't get past, but for some reason, I just feel like for some reason I can't even explain it, which I feel like is justifiable for for you to say that
Right.
you didn't see it with the hug, because like we can just be in a situation where that's just what speaks to us.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
And it's
the
totally fair.
the
Yeah.
loving look, the loving look between Faith and Nathan feels like that, okay, that's how you solidify the chemistry. Whereas
Yeah.
I feel like a hug can solidify, at least that kind of a hug can
Yeah.
solidify
Mhm.
chemistry, and that's okay. And I feel like that kind of goes back to us trying to figure out how can we mend stuff. I feel like people should just respect that they have differences when it comes to what solidifies certain things in a relationship.
Right.
Mhm.
And
Well,
I
I mean,
think
I literally had conversations with people because I was like, there are a lot of toxic traits about Lucas. Like I saw a lot of toxic
Mhm.
traits to their relationship, and other people were going, Nathan's the toxic one. And I'm like, listen,
Yeah.
experiences I've had in my life in relationships
Mhm.
are what makes me look at Lucas and go, this is
Mhm.
a toxic trait. And
Yeah.
they said the same thing about Nathan. And I'm just like, okay, we've had two different experiences. We're two different people.
Mhm.
So
Right,
whereas
exactly.
like I've said this before, you know, a lot of people were like, oh, Lucas gave her up. You know, if you love someone enough, you let them go. And if they love you back, they'll return to you. And I'm like, listen, I have been loved enough to be let go. I've had that experience personally. And
Yeah.
I'm like, no. I was like, I want
Mhm.
somebody that loves me enough to fight for me.
Mhm.
I've had
Yeah.
that same situation too. I've had someone give me up because they were afraid that they were gonna that it wasn't gonna work out and they were gonna lose me in a bad way. And not
Right.
instead of like a different way or whatever. And
Yeah.
I know, and it does not feel good. It does not feel better. It doesn't make me feel like,
It doesn't make you feel like you're
oh,
loved when
Right.
someone gives you
right.
up like that.
It's like you
Yeah.
didn't love me enough. Because if you loved me enough, you would put your big boy pants on and fight.
Yeah. A friend of mine
Like
actually,
you would
she
not, you know.
yeah, a friend of mine, she actually watched the show with me, and she told me like it's hard for me to watch the Lucas scenes because he reminds me so much of my abusive ex. And I'm not saying that
Yeah.
Lucas is abusive. I'm just saying he has a lot of manipulative tendencies. Because we
Mhm.
know Lucas is a good guy, he's not manipulative.
He's
But
not
Yeah.
intentionally.
yeah, he's not intentionally
Not
manipulative, but
intentionally.
he has a lot
Yeah.
of the tendencies that a manipulative person has. But I've also had someone, I recently wrote a blog post and someone said to me, my ex was very much like Nathan. But I'm like, okay, I mean, I can see the
But
imperfections
that's
in
I
both
feel like
guys, but I think
exactly.
it's just there's
That's your own experiences.
yeah,
It's about your own
exactly.
experience as a person, how you relate to like how your reaction is to those things being done to you. Because obviously, when you're watching stuff, you kind of imagine, oh, what would happen if that was me? Like you kind of imagine yourself as Elizabeth when all this is kind of going on. You're like, oh, if Nathan did that to me, like I would be like so giddy, so excited, blah blah blah. And I would look at Lucas and him do certain things. I'd be like, oh man, I would feel so like tense and unseen, in certain situations, or and vice versa. It just depends on how that person reacts to those things. Like some people, like for instance, like I think it's really adorable when a guy kisses a girl on her forehead. Whereas some girls feel like, oh, that's just a cop out. Like if you're gonna kiss me, give me a kiss. And it's
Yeah.
like everyone has different things that are their love language or that are their thing,
Right.
like some
Yeah.
girls are word of affirmation, some girls are physical
Right.
are physical traits, and it's like all this kind of stuff, and it's like it's okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's how
We have
most of the time
reached
that's
a
how these
point.
trials work.
We have reached a point in society where it is not okay to have your own opinion, and it is not okay to disagree with anybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
And
I
Which
hate
is
that.
unfortunate.
I
Yeah.
hate that.
that is the reason there will always be division among the Hearties, is because people cannot get past somebody disagreeing with them without it turning into a fight.
Right.
Yeah,
I
Yeah.
hate
Like
that.
all
like
of
we just
us,
had completely like you literally have 3 against 1 right against you right now. Like all 3 of us are rooting for May. You're rooting for Faith, even though we all have said it does not matter at the end of the day because we just want Nathan to be happy.
Right, exactly.
because we
yeah.
really truly mean that.
Yeah.
Am
Yeah.
I the only one getting a little bit tired? I mean, I think we're all about the same age here. Am I the only one getting a little bit tired of having to be the adult and having to be the mature one out of everybody, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Oh.
why
I'm like,
do I? It's like I know I'm an adult,
it's-
but why do I?
It's clear as day that the whole thing, like, it's clear as day. Just like
yeah.
literally practically hits you in the middle of the face. Like, is this really that big of a deal to cause like this big, huge, nasty fight?
Yeah.
I
don't
even
know.
kind of want to
Yeah.
go up to some of the. I even kind of want to go to the CEO of Hallmark and be like, "Was it worth it?
Yeah, for
Was
real.
all that money,
Yeah.
all those views, all that worth destroying a community that built you?"
Mhm.
I will say that I feel like for all the ways that I disagree with Hallmark right now, for all the
Yeah.
things that I don't like, I will say I think in certain ways they have actually improved. I believe their
Mhm.
stories are starting to go back to the
Hallmark
story
Hall of
they
Fame.
original. Yes.
Mhm.
I feel like they're starting to have more heart to them. They're not just, don't get me wrong, we love the fluff. We love the little cozy, comfy slippers that,
Yeah.
you
Too
know,
much fluff though is
yes.
It's like
but I feel
sugar,
like-
it'll
And I like
rot your
they're
teeth.
actually adding humor back, but the
Yeah.
kind of humor where it's like, I don't know, like me and Kerri have always loved like physical comedy because that's just like how it was back in the day, was like physical
Mhm.
comedy. I feel like Andrew and Tyler are really good at being able to do both. I think that's one of the reasons why we love them so much and how their humor is, because they kind of do both. They're very quick-witted, where it just seems so natural with their comebacks and their different things and their different responses to stuff. But I can also
Right.
see where like their facial expressions and their body language and the way that they react bodily is also just as hilarious.
Mhm.
And like I love that they're finally getting back to that kind of funny too,
Yeah.
because it kind of went dry with the funny. Like they
Yeah.
took themselves a little too seriously at times.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But
I was-
yeah, I mean,
I was gonna say this.
go ahead, Nicole.
early- Okay. I was gonna say this earlier, but I totally respect anyone that doesn't want to watch the show anymore. I mean, it's their decision. I don't hold it against them, but there's still a lot of good things about the show.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
I mean, Lee and Rosemary, the Canfields, Florence and Ned, Florence
Yeah.
and Molly,
Mm-hmm.
Bill and
Yeah.
Molly.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
100%.
Faith and Molly have a great friendship.
Faith and Molly, yeah.
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 I do
Everyone
think
in
it's kinda
Molly.
crazy that they have,
Everyone in-
like, don't get me wrong, I love Faith and Molly.
Nathan
Don't
and
get me wrong, I
Allie.
love Faith and Molly. But it is kind of crazy that they have Molly giving Faith love advice, which I think is kind of cool that they are kind of branching Molly out a lot more than just being like glued to Florence's hip.
Mhm.
But
You know what
do
I
kinda-
think is hilarious? That Faith and Molly are like talking about their love life, but technically they've both gone on a date with the same man. I just think that's so funny. Like, remember how Molly actually went on a date with Carson back in like
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't remember that.
I don't
Yeah.
either, but it's been so long since I rewatched those early seasons.
I just think
Yeah.
it's so ironic and hilarious.
Well, she also went out with Lee. technically.
Lee.
Yeah, well, that was more or
Well,
less.
yeah, but yeah.
No, when Carson first came to town, they went on a date together.
Yeah.
I seriously need to go back and rewatch these first seasons. Not that I have the freaking
Right?
time to, but I need to.
Yeah.
I stopped watching. Like I was like the last episode I think I watched was when Jack returned to Hope Valley after after escorting Elizabeth to Hamilton.
Oh wow.
That was like the last episode that I watched. That was back in the back days or whatever.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like, also,
Yeah.
who's excited for Julie to finally be back?
Yes.
Like,
Me.
I cannot wait because like she never met Nathan and Lucas whenever everything was 1st starting, and I wanted so badly to have like her reaction. I guess that's probably the reason why. It's because they probably could have ended the triangle right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Personally, I feel like
to be-
Julie.
Disclaimer.
I feel like Julie would have
Charlotte-
been in favor of Nathan, but
Nathan,
that's just
yeah.
'cause she
I would have
left-
loved to have seen Lucas and Julie together.
Oh,
Actually,
yeah.
that would have been flipping hilarious.
That would have been fun.
Yeah.
He'll try to keep up with her. But
Oh, she'd run circles in front of around that man. He would have no chance.
disclaimer, Charlotte has said she cannot confirm that she cannot say whether or not Julie will be back. She has said
Even
that.
though we have picture evidence.
that
of her
Brian
Well,
Bird
I
posted
mean-
pictures of her in her outfit, but
See, she was
Charlotte-
at the set dressed as herself, and then she was at the cast party for the 100th episode. So I'm
Not
just saying.
to mention, she was in Toronto when she did the interview with us.
Mhm.
I see.
Yeah, but she refuses to actually say that she was there.
Yeah.
She said that she had seen them, that it was good catching up, that she was visiting friends and whatever, but she will not actually say.
She pretty much
that
said,
she's
I
back."
cannot confirm nor deny that I'm going to be back as
I can neither confirm nor deny.
Which basically
Yeah.
means yes.
yeah.
Which kind of goes back to, and we probably really need to wrap this up pretty quickly because we've already been on for like 2.5 hours.
Oh,
at this
wow.
point. But kind of goes back to, and this episode's going to come out like way after this. But before we got on here tonight to record this, we went live on Instagram. And Morgan's about to get mad. Andrew Walker ended up joining the live. Morgan was not able to be on it at the particular time.
And Instagram kept kicking me off.
Yes.
I wish they would have been able to put me on when they kicked you off. The least they could do. No
Well,
offense, I
thanks,
love you,
Morgan.
Nicole.
Oh,
I said no offense. I love you.
I'm just
But-
kidding. I love you too.
but when he actually requested to join, like just blew my mind. But he said something about that he was on his lunch break, and I was like, oh, so you're actually on set right now? And he was like, yeah. And he like turns his phone and starts showing us the trailer, and I was
I'm
like,
in
what
the
are you
trailer.
working on? And he's like,
He grinned and he's just like,
oh,
"I
and
get
I was
you."
like, I think we know.
Wait,
And
do
he was
know.
like-
you?
Yeah.
he
I
was
don't
I
like-
think
know.
he said you'll find out in a couple of weeks.
He was
And
like,
then
I
said-
can't. He said, I'm not allowed to say, but yeah,
But,
you know.
no.
What is
We'll tell
that
you.
supposed to mean?
Like, first of all, you
we'll
literally put,
explain
he
it after we
literally
get
put
off.
the script on his Instagram story
Yeah,
with the characters' names
Oh.
full out on there.
yeah,
So I mean,
yeah.
come on,
It's,
dude. You only put the
it's
script on there, but
it's the next Curious Caterer.
Caterer.
Oh, I see.
Nikki.
Okay.
Well, I
And the
wasn't
reason why
gonna,
he said that
gonna
was
say
'cause-
it because obviously he said he couldn't say it, but then it's just kind of dawning on me that we're not obligated to not be able to say it. So
Right.
and I mean he's the one that posted
I mean,
on
why
his
not?
Insta story where we could see like his name.
Goldie
and-
Tom, whose characters that he has played before, Goldie.
Yeah.
Tom.
Yeah, and whatever the assistant. What is his little assistant?
I can't-
Mason.
Mason. Yes. Yeah, you can see the names Goldie, Tom, and Mason on the script. So
Oh
we
my
cannot
gosh.
wait to see
know.
them two together again. Tom and
I know.
Mason are going to be so amazing. I cannot wait.
I hope it's the same actor. I really hope it's the same actor.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm sure it will be.
I'm sure it
sure.
will be.
But yeah.
But I mean, the reason why I said that was because, like, one of the things was that we kept asking him, like, is there going to be another one? Like, are you guys wanting it to be like a sequel? Are y'all wanting it to be like a TV style series or like a movie series and that kind of stuff? And they were definitely like, they were eager to want to do it, which I mean, like, who better to do like that kind of a series with than with Andrew and Nikki? I mean, their chemistry,
Nikki.
they've been in several movies together. They're
Yeah.
almost just like, I mean, like they're just like Pascal and Kevin, like they
Kevin,
kind of
yeah.
go
Mhm.
with each other with a lot of stuff. Like
they're
you
a
can
package
build a
deal.
lot
You
with
get
them.
one, you
Yeah.
get the
Yeah,
other.
they're a package, yeah. So I
Or
mean,
Cameron and Jill. It's like
Yeah.
You know what? I would really love one of these days to see Kevin in a mystery movie, like
Yeah.
as a lead. But I keep picturing like it to be where the girl character is the detective and he's kind of like the civilian or something.
I think
I came up with a storyline for that, except it was with Tyler as the handyman instead of Kevin. But I could totally see Kevin doing it too.
See,
but
I could see Kevin being like a photographer or something, and like he's just kind of following the detective around.
There
so funny.
There was a mystery series with Aaron that was supposed to happen, and it fell through, I think.
Oh, okay.
It was that royal one. I can't remember the name of it. And I think she might have been the one that was like supposed to be the detective or something.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see Aaron being the detective.
Oh yeah.
I wish I could remember the name of it.
In one movie. Like there was a movie, I want to say that Aaron Craig played a cop.
Army Wives or something like that.
She was in Army Wives.
Oh wait, Castle?
Oh no,
was it Castle?
No, I'm not talking about Army Wives. Army Wives, she was actually in the army.
I think it was I think it's Castle you're thinking of.
Probably.
Yeah, because my sister and her my brother-in-law, they both watch Castle together. And it's like a cop show, and my sister sends me this picture of my DMs, and she's like, "It's Aaron Craig in Castle." She does that to me all the time. She'll send me like Schitt's Creek or something like that. And, yeah, it's really.
If you want to see a baby Chris McNally,
oh gosh,
without his beard,
Gourmet Detective.
Gourmet Detective.
Which one?
Without his beard.
Yeah. Which
one? Because there's a few actually.
I can't remember the name. I can't remember the name of it, but I think it's the one about the farm and the horses. They're like there's horses.
Yes. Okay.
Also,
because I watched my first Gourmet Detective the other night, and I want to see baby Chris McNally. Yeah,
I think he has I think his character has a brother, and I think the brother is the one that gets killed. Spoiler.
Yeah, okay. That's fine. I mean, the person who gets killed always gets killed within the first.
They're like reenacting a duel.
Or two.
Yeah,
the two brothers don't get along anyway. And when they're reenacting the duel, obviously it's supposed to be blanks. And Chris McNally's character is holding the gun that somebody actually loaded. So he actually shoots his brother and kills him.
Oh
but he doesn't know, like he's innocent.
He doesn't know.
Wow.
Spoiler. But like it looks like it's framing him, and then it goes through because they're a blended family too. It's like some of them are the dad's kids, some of them are the stepmother's kids, but the stepmother has died, but the dad still loves all the kids like they're his own.
Right.
But the kids don't really get along and blah blah blah.
I think I took a screenshot. Hang on.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Another one I was watching. I've been kind of on a NCIS kick.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Wow.
He definitely needs to keep the beard.
Yeah.
Never shave the beard, Chris. I love you to death, but do not shave that beard ever.
What is it I've said about Tyler that without the beard he's hot, with the beard he's smoking? I'm like, that's pretty much the same way. Like although I have to admit, I do kind of like Tyler in his earlier movies when he didn't have a beard.
Yeah.
Just something about it.
Well, speaking of that, I was watching NCIS, and I actually sent you that I was watching it, Kerri.
Oh yeah.
I saw on the credits it said Wes Brown, and then like 2 or 3 credits later it said Tyler Hines. I'm like, wait, what?
Oh.
And sure enough, like Wes ends up playing a military guy, and Tyler ends up playing like this rich, spoiled kid who like literally just all he does is spend time in a club drinking, and like surrounded by women. And so like it's so hilarious watching Tyler.
Like
wow.
Hard day.
Like watching him act drunk with like women all over him and like being all cocky and like arrogant. And like he actually gets into like a fist fight with one of the federal agents, DiNozzo, played by Michael Weatherly. And it was hilarious.
Yeah, I was gonna say that sounds wildly entertaining.
It is. I had to go back and see which episode, but it was funny. It was funny.
Wow.
Yeah. Wes is
ended
another
up
one,
not being like just a warning. He didn't spoiler, but he did not end up being the killer. Wes Brown's character gets shot and killed. But I thought it would have been really funny if Tyler was the killer, though. 'Cause it's like, what?
Yeah,
one
that would have been
one
great.
Hallmark movie character kills another one.
Oh my
Oh
god.
my gosh.
But Wes is another one, like, he's cute without the glasses, but with the glasses.
Same with
He's
Brendan Penny. Brendan Penny with glasses is like,
adorable.
Yeah.
he
Oh my
looks
gosh.
so cute.
There are
Yeah.
several of these guys that to me it just seems like it would be so easy to be best friends with. Andrew, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you cannot help but love Andrew. I think everybody can agree with Tyler Hines that Andrew Walker is a magical unicorn.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, like, me and
Yeah.
Kerri tell this story way too much. And I feel like everyone's like sick of us saying it, but like being her literally like spaced out so many times in that interview, like just seeing him as just Andrew, like, okay, that's cool. We're just having a conversation with Andrew. And the next thing you know, we're like, we're having a conversation with Andrew Walker.
That was how I felt too. I
And
was
it's
like,
like, and
Oh
then
my
we go
gosh.
right back into it, just being like, oh, it's just Andrew. Just our buddy
Yeah.
Andrew. Just like having a conversation about sex trafficking and, chocolate.
No, it was hilarious. But I feel like Andrew, definitely. Tyler, definitely. I feel like Wes is another one that would just be
Wes
really
is
Yeah.
really nice.
just see
Wes is
best
down to
friends
earth,
with.
dude.
I feel
Yeah.
like Paul would be pretty easy to be buddies with too.
Yeah.
Not quite as much as the others, but I feel like he would still be pretty easy
I
to
think
be
it's because we
buddies
just
with.
don't we
Yeah.
haven't really been as like involved in his career as we are the
Mhm.
others. But yeah, I could see it. I mean, he's that close. If he's that close to Tyler and Andrew, then yeah.
I feel
Also-
like Brendan would be another one that
Yeah.
would be pretty.
Yeah.
He seems like he would be pretty easygoing.
Yeah. Also, Eric.
Same
Also,
with
Eric
Kevin.
Yeah, Eric Mabius.
and Zach Santiago and Gregory and
Kevin,
Kevin.
obviously.
McGarry.
Well, Kevin gets
And-
along with everybody. So
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Well, like I said, he has chemistry with The Rock, so I mean,
and I can't not
I feel
mention
like
Jeff.
we could be like best friends with Kayla.
Yeah.
I feel like we would have really fun. Like I feel like we could literally start picking on Kevin
Yeah.
and
And
match it really well.
he would
And
probably
I-
like that too.
He
yeah.
probably would.
and out of the guys too, I would have to say Jeff. I can't not mention Jeff too.
Yeah. Norman.
Norman.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh,
I love
and
Norman.
adore
Like, every
Norman. And,
Every time
yeah.
we watch, my dad loves Signed Sealed Delivered. So every time he gets on one of his Signed Sealed Delivered marathons, I'm sitting there and I'm just like, recently. Like, he's so cute.
Yeah.
I
Aw.
knew you and Nicole. I told Kerri whenever I saw that he was in Three Wise Men and a Baby.
Wiseman.
I knew you two were going to flip out.
Well, I knew before the movie aired he was going to be in it because, yeah,
It shocked me. I was like, oh my God, it's Norman.
because the cast, I guess the press
Yeah.
release was released and I saw his
I think
name.
I had
Okay.
seen it in like a Signed Sealed Delivered group or something. I don't remember. But
And also there was another, well, you haven't gotten to this point yet, Morgan, in the show, but
No.
the guy that plays Norman's cousin was also in the movie.
That's
Surge.
funny.
I didn't even recognize. Oh my gosh, how did I not recognize him? Oh my gosh, now that you say that, I can totally see it, but I did not. How did I not? Oh wow.
And I think the aunt, if I'm correct, I think the aunt was Oliver's lawyer in Truth Be Told.
Well, I don't. Yeah,
Her hair was darker in SSD.
I think you might be right. I don't know, but yeah. Wow. Yeah, I think we could very easily be best friends with the majority of these people. I mean, I don't know about y'all, but I feel like
Yeah.
we're pretty likable. I feel like we
Yeah.
are a very likable
Absolutely.
bunch.
Yes.
I mean,
We're fun. We're creative. We're good listeners. We might interrupt a lot, but we actually are good listeners.
Yes. I can attest to that.
We're pretty good about being able to see everybody. I feel like we're all good about being able to see. Are we all nines on the Enneagram? I don't know, but we're all good at being
know.
able to see.
I am.
I am. But we're all good
Which
at being
makes a
able
lot
to
of
see
sense.
everybody's point of view.
Yeah, it's like we can just see both sides of
Yeah.
the script. We can see both sides of the coin. Like we can understand, like we can form our own opinions about something, but not make it to where we're like constantly at somebody else's head who doesn't agree with us.
Mhm.
Now, some
yeah.
things, yes, some things are definitely I will never agree with you on this subject. But most of that is like with morals and beliefs and things
Yeah.
like that you
More on the
don't
spiritual
ever,
level.
yeah, that you don't flip to a different script.
Right.
While some things I can kind of understand why that person sees it that way, I just will never be able to see it that way.
Mhm.
Right.
But for the most part, when it comes to the Hallmark stuff and it comes to who needs to be with who and why they need to be with that person and that kind of stuff like that, it's very easy to see why that person feels that way, even if you don't necessarily feel that way.
Right.
Yeah.
And I feel like at the end of the day, we also understand like we're all humans. We need to respect each other.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
It's not
kind.
really that hard, guys. It's really not that hard to respect.
And be
We just
kind.
kind of make it too much like it is. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Mhm.
That's what it all boils down to, is just having respect for other people.
Yeah.
I mean, we had the freedom of speech. We had the freedom to form our own opinions and be able to express those opinions.
Right.
Yeah.
I do think that you have a certain way of being able to put it. I don't feel like you always have to be so cutthroat about it.
Mhm.
But I mean,
Yeah.
some people
I
just
think
come
the
off that
four
way
of
because
us
they're
could
that.
very easily form a production company and do a pretty darn good job.
Yeah.
Hey, what are we waiting on?
Right?
Yeah.
Somebody with some money to come along and say, yeah, come on.
Yeah.
That's what we're waiting on.
If
Hey,
there's
maybe
a
this-
psychology
maybe this,
unit, I'll take care of that.
Yeah.
Maybe whenever you get this script delivered to Andrew, that'll be the start of something.
Maybe. I still have to work on, now that I've done that one, I have it off to 2 filmmaking friends of mine to let them read it and give me their thoughts on it. And then I need to start on the script, especially considering how long it takes me to do it. I need to start on the script for Darby, because he actually specifically told me he wanted a script. And he played, was it Jill Wagner's dad?
Yeah, I think so.
Christmas Kisses and
Christmas Wishes
and Mistletoe Kisses.
Kisses.
Yeah. So I had given him, when I met him, I had given him a story idea, and he's like, "You got a script?" I'm like, "No, I literally came up with this last night." And he was like, "Well, I expect a script." I'm like, "Okay." So I'll probably
awesome.
be seeing him sometime early to mid next year, and I would really love to have that script done to be able to give it to him next time I see him and get his reaction to that. And then I still have that one I'm supposed to be writing for Jocelyn, but that's that's kind of semi sorta. So yeah, y'all, I could write constantly for like probably several years and not run out of ideas.
I have thought about like
I feel
going into
that.
I know, Nicole, you're like and you have, don't you have a graphic design degree?
Yes.
See, I'm thinking about going into that stuff because I really like doing that stuff too. But I also really enjoy writing. I just haven't done it in a really long time. But I've had a few ideas as far as like movie stuff. But I don't really have the time. I barely have time to do our podcast. So it's like, even thinking about it makes my brain hurt.
Yeah. Speaking of which, we've been going almost 3 hours.
We all knew this was going to happen.
I think we all came into this knowing this was going to happen.
Yeah. It was so much fun.
Especially since it's Theresa's first time on the podcast, and we'll definitely have her back.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I had a blast. It was great. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming. It's been really fun to actually get to chat with you. I know we'll message, but to actually get to chat with you. And I know we've said this umpteen times. Our podcast is literally us FaceTiming. To anybody that thinks we don't have any structure, you're right, we don't, because we're literally FaceTiming and y'all get to eavesdrop. That is the essence.
Which is great. I mean, I love that. So yeah, I love that.
Makes for more fun. For
sure. Yeah. And I personally like that the episodes are really long, like an hour or over, because for someone who works 6 hours a day and has to fill the silence with something, I love that To me, it's like the longer the better. I like
And I'm
listening
sure-
to all the chats and everything.
I hope we have not burst your eardrums at any point with our hysterical laughing.
No,
Um,
no, you have not. No.
Mine most of the time is a silent laugh because it just does, it's too much. and it
Mostly
just comes out
I know
silent.
you two are laughing when I just hear a long silence and then a laugh right at the end. That's mostly when I know you're laughing.
He's over there going, Kerri, are you all right? Breathe, Kerri, breathe. You're
Oh my
gonna
God.
die on this podcast. Breathe.
And if you're watching us, if I'm literally just doing this and my shoulders are shaking, I'm laughing, but you can't hear anything because I'm just like, I don't know why, I'm
Oh
kind of
my
more
God.
silent laughter. Oh,
Oh my
gosh.
gosh.
But we definitely have to do this again, and we definitely need
Yeah.
to start doing more lives. If that means Andrew's gonna pop on, we need to do more lives.
Yeah. Who knows who else might pop on someday? You
Right?
never know.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Find something by by continuing to tag Kevin in the comments.
Yeah.
Maybe
Or
she's
even
onto
Tyler
something.
hop
Maybe
on
he'll
one
actually
day. You never
press,
know. Yeah.
right? Oh,
That
Yeah.
would be the
yes.
one that you would see me fall out.
Yeah.
Definitely.
knowing you guys'
Yeah.
luck. Yeah, maybe. That's so sad. Oh gosh.
I know.
Wow.
I'm kind of nervous if which I technically like Kerri would have to let him in, but sometimes I wonder if Andrew wouldn't like invite Tyler secretly, and then like you see it pop on your screen, you're just like, bam.
Well, I
Yes,
mean, we were
whoa.
going to do it to Tyler. All right, we were going to do it to Andrew.
We were.
And
We
just,
were.
yeah. But anyway, all right. Well,
Okay.
thank you so much, Theresa.
Yes,
We're
thank
definitely
you.
going to do this again.
Yeah,
had so
thank
much
you so
fun
much for
chatting.
having me. This was great. Thank
Yes.
you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I loved having the kind of psychology aspect of it coming
Oh,
in.
Yeah.
For future
that was
reference,
so-
you'll know I'll likely start rambling about psychology if you ever have me back again.
Yeah.
I love it. I love
Anyone
it.
who knows me knows that's where it's gonna go eventually.
No
Yeah.
problems from this corner. I know I've had people ask me, like, have you ever thought about being a therapist? Because I notice things about people. Like
Mhm.
I literally did that one time, like with talking to a friend of mine about a couple other people that are kind of having issues with each other, and I was like, I don't know, but I just kind of have a feeling that this, and this, and he went, wow. Like, he's like, who told? I'm like, nobody told me. I was like, just from watching people all my life, something like this had to happen. He's like, well, you got it right, except switch their positions. Like, you had this one here and this one here, and you just need to flip where you had them, and you got it.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
anyway. All right. Anything else before we wrap this up?
Nope. That's it. Yeah.
I think we covered all the bases.
I think we more than covered all the bases.
I think we covered all the bases, went out
And
for
then
pizza,
some.
Yeah.
and then came back. And then made another run for hot dogs.
We made it the whole way there and the whole way back. Yeah.
And then ice cream.
All 9 innings and then some.
No, we're Bugs Bunny playing baseball, like where he's the entire team.
Yes. Yes. Very much so. Yes. Oh gosh.
All right. Well, guys, if you have lasted this long, you deserve an award for sure.
Oh, come on. They're experts by now.
I know, right? I know. Hey, it has been a while since we've put out a 3-hour episode. I will
That's
say
true.
Yeah.
That's true.
it has been a long time since we've had
I
one
think
this.
this is my first 3-hour episode.
Yeah.
I think it
That's a
is,
good-
Nicole. What a way to get instated as the co-host.
What did I get myself into in a loving way?
In a loving way.
What have I started?
We seriously have to put out like a lot of merch with that. I don't
You
even know if
should.
that episode has come
T-shirts,
out or not.
sweatshirts. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
That's your new
I
tagline.
said that was going to be what happens every single time we record.
I love it though. I love it. All right. Well,
Salty in a loving way.
yeah. Observer.
so great.
I'm gonna wrap this up in a loving way. We'll be back soon, guys, with more Christmas movie recaps and another special guest. Actually, that will probably come out before this, so never mind. But hopefully, we'll still keep having more special guests come on the podcast, and we'll talk to y'all again soon. Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.